Welcome to Daytona International Speedway and the inaugural race for the Rigshare FUEL Cup Series. I am Kyle Heyer here with Finian DeCuna, and Finian, we're gearing up tonight for an exciting, full-field, action-packed race with a heat format that is surely going to be a great event tonight.
Yeah, really looking forward to this. You know, speedway racing is always a fun thing to watch, and we got a great group of guys and a large group of guys. We have potentially looking at sending some guys home, and that's with a 40-car field in the feature race. So we have a lot of drivers to get through, and yes, as you mentioned, we're going to have 2 heat races with up to 30 drivers each, and basically the top 20 from the first heat and second heat are going to start the race.
So this is going to be an interesting format, Finian, for sure, but one of the things I'm looking forward to is restrictor plate racing, and you know this is kind of a crapshoot a lot of the time, and you know, you always have the big one looming over your head. So what's really the strategy heading into a race like this? It's short, the feature's only 60 laps. What can you do as a driver to keep yourself out of trouble and make your way towards the front?
Well, honestly, they say the safest places to be are the front of the pack or the very back. So it's really just a matter of what you're comfortable with. And honestly, you know, it's 60 laps. It's a short distance, yes, but it's also quite a long one in a way. So, you know, it's a lot of just, you know, biding your time, not being too hasty with your moves, just watching the guys around you, and just keeping to yourself and slowly moving yourself up the grid at your own pace, and then just being there when it counts.
All right, and in just a couple minutes, we're going to go to single car qualifying for about 5 minutes, and then we're going to get ready for the first of 2 heats. And depending on what heat Nick Cohan ends up in, he's going to come up into the booth and give us a little rundown on how this whole format works. And he'll be in here whatever heat he's not in. We also have Andrew Cardinale also waiting in the wings to help us out tonight with broadcast. So he'll be up here in whatever heat he's not in. And if they're in the same one, we'll just split it right down the middle, lap 30 and lap 60. But we're ready to go racing here tonight. About 1 minute and 15 seconds left in practice. And right now at the top of the board, it's Brad Collins in the number 67. And a thousandth behind him is Fred Thompson in the 46 and Rick Thompson in the 76. That makes up your top 3. And Casey Campbell in the 73 and Tanner Koster in the 97 is going to round out your top 5. But of course, we all know the drafting package here is tricky to make moves with, Finian, and you can find yourself stuck in a single file line, and it's hard to make moves towards the front towards the end of the race.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, there's nothing to the league or anything personal, or even iRacing for that matter. I've never really liked this drafting package too much compared to what we used to have. You used to be able to draft up from quite a ways back, but now with this package, even if you're half a tenth, if you don't have the speed in your car, you're gonna end up losing the pack, and you're gonna just fall back, and it's not gonna be a fun day for you. Also with this package, you're gonna potentially see a lot of single file racing. It's just usually the way it is. Hopefully, though, these guys will make it a lot more interesting than it is in real life, and we'll get some good racing on track.
All right, and the first thing we should note before Nick Cohan gets in here and gives us the rundown is the top 2 qualifiers advance straight to the feature, so whoever wins pole and outside pole will move straight on. They don't have to worry about anything for the rest of the night other than finishing the race, which is sometimes easier said than done. But as practice concludes, we're going to head to qualifying here in just a short moment. And Brad Collins at the top of the board there still with a 45.984, about 1,000th quicker than the 46 of Fred Thompson.
Yeah, for the most part, for these times, you should see guys pretty close to each other. You know, these guys aren't really, you can't really gain too much time on a super speedway track and qualifying. It's just a matter of just flooring it the entire way around. So, should be interesting. Yeah, so for the first 5 minutes, these guys are going to be qualifying, and the next 5, they're going to have their own drivers meeting.
All right, and as we're just waiting to get some cars on the racetrack, let's go over some sponsor information. We got a couple groups to thank. We have to especially thank Rigshare. And Rigshare is based out of Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania. Rigshare offers a wide variety of crypto mining services, including hosting, equipment sales, and consulting. The link to Rigshare is in the video description. Be sure to check them out. And the race sponsor, Sim Marketing Solutions, helps drivers, teams, and leagues create their brand presence and achieve their goals. Visit the website at simmarketingsolutions.com. A couple notes here that Will has put together in his amazing little pre-race nuggets of information. The FUEL Racing League has been testing the last couple months, and here are a couple noteworthy items. Dizzy Motorsports, Speed Mafia, and Steel Horse Racing's Chevrolet outfit have the most well-rounded lineups in the field. Dizzy's 4-man lineup consists of Nick Cohan, Tim Johnson, Gabriel Perry, and Eric Brundys, and they've been fast every time they've hit the track. Won tests at Richmond Auto Club in Vegas. Speed Mafia's lineup, Rick and Fred Thompson, Casey Campbell, and Brad Collins has shown speed through testing and in practice here this afternoon. And they're going to be a real contender here, as well as Steel Horse Racing. Brought 8 cars to Daytona, spread across SHR Toyota and SHR Chevy. SHR Chevy has shown speed with Greg Evans, Thomas George, and Rhett McBride. Look for good things to come out of the SHR camp this season. All right, a couple notes about regulations. The iRacing Sporting Code and Fuel Racing League rulebook are in full effect. Below are a couple of the highlights here. I'm going to list. The leader controls all the starts and the restarts. Restarts are double file, and the leader may begin accelerating anytime after the pace car is off the racing surface. Yellow line serves as out of bounds. It will not be enforced in single car qualifying, but it will be during the race, and halfway points will be awarded to the top 10 finishers in each duel. Next week, we're heading to Chicagoland Speedway in Joliet, Illinois, and that's going to be a real driver's race, Finian. We saw in NASCAR a couple weeks ago, actually, the battle between Kyle Busch and Kyle Larson. That track always wears out tires and makes for a great race.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, I'm really looking forward to the season because I've been in 2 testing races with these guys. You were also in one of those testing races with me, and we went green nearly the entire way. There was like 1 caution, and so this is a good group of drivers here. So we should see a lot of action. Hopefully not too many yellows with these guys. So I'm really looking forward to this race and this season.
Certainly going to be exciting and a packed grid here today. It's going to be a full field no matter what happens in the heats here. So only going to have a couple drivers going home, but there were 66 on the entry list. So certainly we will have a great selection of drivers to choose from as the season begins. But as we have 7 minutes left in qualifying here, Gabriel Perry in the 13 actually going to jump to the top of the board, and he'll be decelerating. His paint has not loaded, so oh, there it goes. At number 13. And Timothy Johnson in the 28 just jumped to the top of the board in that USAA Toyota Camry.
Yeah, you can see how close the timings are. The entire top 14 at the moment are under a tenth away from the leader, and it's continuously getting closer and closer as everyone puts in their second laps.
0.006 of a second is the gap between first and second right now. Rhett McBride in the number 8 going to jump to that 3rd spot, and he's going to get bumped by Rich Jett in the 77, the Godzilla Chevy SS. Look at Don Runkle Jr. slowing down the backstretch. He's qualified 12th. So you see Timothy Johnson heading back around, back to pit road. It looks like he is satisfied with that effort. Zach Buchanan in the number 40, the Dunder Mifflin Ford Fusion, was a threat in the previous leagues that we've worked with, and I expect him to be quite good here this evening as well. Maybe the qualifying effort not so fantastic, but he'll certainly be a threat during the race.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we've always heard it when we watch Daytona or Talladega on TV. This is the great equalizer, pretty much. You know, everyone's going to be pretty much equal. Qualifying is, I wouldn't say a crapshoot necessarily, but it's extremely close to see on the times, and it's just a matter of taking the corner just a little bit better than the other. It's fractions of inputs that make the difference here. So, guys you might be seeing qualifying the back there are going to be stronger on the traditional ovals, where like Chicagoland, Charlotte, those kind of tracks, the intermediates. So, yeah, it's just a matter of seeing, you know, who's good at working together, who's good at biding their time, who's good at race management, and things like that we're going to see shine throughout this race.
And we're riding on board now with the 67 of Brad Collins, and he's doing the typical restrictor plate qualifying, Finian. And you're saying that the subtle thing is matter, but one of the qualifying techniques I see a lot is the high line on the first lap and the low line on the second lap. And do you want to explain why that maybe gives you an advantage?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much every time when you're qualifying on a super speedway, you usually have the typical 2-lap qualifier. So, pretty much your second lap's always going to be faster, and that's just due to building up speed and momentum. That's more seen in IndyCar than anything else. But yeah, on super speedways, it's building up momentum, and each lap's pretty much going to be faster after the other. If it's not, then you're probably doing something wrong. So what a lot of these guys do, and what I do personally, is run the outside line your first time by, because that lap's going to be slower anyway. Build up some extra momentum by running the high line, because the high line is always going to give you make you faster speed-wise, but not necessarily time-wise. And so then you build up the momentum to then put in a really fast second lap. And some of the guys, usually guys who do that over guys who run the inside line, are going to almost always be on top of guys who take the low line both times around.
Right now, Brad Collins running 39th. That time was about 9/10 of a second off the pace, but hopefully the second time around he'll drop that gap, and we'll see if this format works out for him. Clearly good in the draft, as he was at the top of the board at the end of practice, so we'll see if this pays off for him as he comes to conclude his qualifying efforts.
Yeah, and looking right now at our information, so yeah, we do have more than 40 drivers here, so some few drivers are going to end up going home at the end of the day.
And right now you see DJ Allen and the number 9 crossing the line that time through, and Collins was only able to advance up to 37th, so a deep in the field starting spot for his heat race for sure. And it looks like most everyone's made a lap here, and it looks like Timothy Johnson in the 28 is going to stick to the top of the board for now, unless the 9 car of Allen can drop him off. There's only one other car out there, and it's Adam Jersky in the 69, but he looks like he's done pulling down to the apron over there in turn 4.
Yeah, we're also just looking at our telemetry, and I'm seeing a lot of people separated by 1 or 2 thousandths of a second. It's extremely close separating each driver. Some even in a dead tie as far as timing is concerned. So it's incredibly close here. And yeah, so far Johnson in the 28, it seems like he might be sneaking away with pole here, and Perry in the 13 is going to take second. So those two guys will, I'm not going to entirely call it now, but those guys are probably going to end up claiming those spots, so they're going to just have to worry about the feature and sit back and relax and watch both of these duels fold out.
And DJ Allen jumps up to 25th with that second lap, so that'll organize him for his heat race. And it looks like most of the field is done with their qualifying laps, so we'll just go back and run the race rundown here again. And again, we have kind of an interesting format here, and heat's not something you generally associate with asphalt racing. Usually it's kind of a dirt thing, Finian, but what's different about racing a heat race versus just a straight up start to finish sprint race?
Well, typically when there's a heat race, there's a feature usually associated. So usually, with heats, that's gonna A, set up the qualifying order for the feature race, and B, also eliminate any extra competitors out. So it'll narrow down the field. So most of these guys are probably going to be concerned with the first part of it, which is setting your position up. So a lot of these guys might want to start towards the front, and some guys might want to start towards the back. As far as qualifying for the event, there's only going to be about 1 or 2 drivers that's going to be going home in each, so that's not going to be too big of a factor. But you also don't want to be not participating in this feature race, especially if you're planning on competing here the whole season. Having not been in one race is not going to be good for you.
And another thing to note, remember the top 2 move straight to the feature round, and that is Johnson and Perry in the 28 and 13. They're going to, as long as they stay where they are right now, they'll be heading straight to the final round. They don't have to worry about any heat racing. And that at a restrictor plate track is a blessing more than it is a curse. Not that qualifying on the front row is ever a curse, but I think tonight you're going to want to be guaranteed into the feature, because one bad wreck can take you out, and that will not be good for those drivers that are looking to get a good points day right out of the gate and carry these points all the way to the end of the season. All right, so with about 45 seconds left, looks like that's going to be it. We have 40 drivers with times on the board, and 40 are guaranteed into the feature, so it might just be more of a circumstance of just setting the running order more than it is the elimination factor here tonight. Right. We should also note that the duels are 20 laps, and that's pretty short right here on Daytona.
Yeah, if you find yourself in the back and you want to be in the front, you're gonna have to move a bit quickly, more than usual. We shouldn't see any pit stops. I would be surprised if we do. It should be enough for, more than enough for a full fuel run. So yeah, we're gonna see a lot more haste than we're probably gonna see in the future. A lot of guys who are in the back want to start up front. They're gonna be going towards the front as fast as they possibly can.
All right, and that concludes qualifying. And here is our starting grid. And is Nick Cohan in here? He is. So we'll grab him for round 2. And if you want to go run and try to grab, who was I looking for? Andrew Cardinale. If you could grab him, we can try to get him in here real quick. So we're setting up the grid for the first heat race. And all the cars are jumping on the grid here, and we'll go for a pace lap and turn them loose for 20 laps around Daytona. And the Ford FR500 pace car is lining up. Out of curiosity, I have not tested this gridding graphic with heat racing. I'll see if it works correctly, and it is not going to. So that'll just be for the qualifying results. But Rich Jett in the 77 and Mike Kelly in the 5 will make up your front row for this heat event. Hey, Andrew, this is the SimTV broadcast booth. You got a copy?
I sure do.
All right, buddy. Well, we have Nick Cohan in the first round, and it looks like you're going to be up in the second one. So, 20 laps here around Daytona. This is kind of a short race, but again, this is really just to set the running order because I don't think we have enough drivers to begin the elimination process. But what goes through your head in a 20-lap race, trying to make your way to the front and get the best starting position? It doesn't even matter where you start for a 60-lap race here at Daytona.
Well, definitely the biggest concern for these drivers, and myself included in the second duel, is going to be just to make the show. Obviously, I think this first duel is the most stressful because two get knocked out. In the second duel, only one driver will get knocked out of the race. But either way, you don't want to be that last person, right? But at the same time, you're in one of these races. You don't want to push too hard because if you push too hard, the chance of a wreck goes up tenfold. So it's really challenging. From a driver perspective, and I'm still trying to go over what I'm going to do in my head, because you want to push because it's so short, and you have to make a certain position to make the race, but you don't want to push because you don't want to get wrecked and relegated to that position. So it's really just a fine art form, I feel like.
In fine art form, it is indeed. But 20-lap race, of course, you have your heat race coming up here as soon as this one is over. What's your strategy? Are you just going to plan on running the high lane, low lane, hanging in the back? What's your plan for that second race?
Kyle, I'm lucky enough to get put up on the high side. I like to go there for Daytona and Talladega anyway. I think I'm going to try and ride up there as much as I can. Now, obviously, these Cup cars, they like to really just get single file and run it on the bottom side. Hopefully we don't end up with that kind of racing, at least in these short duels, but it's certainly a chance. Obviously, if that starts to happen, I'll try and recognize that as soon as I can. Get down to the bottom, and I'm sure a lot of these guys on the top line will do just the same thing. But honestly, that top line starts to come in after about 10 laps, and it really starts to be a lot more powerful than the bottom.
All right, Andrew, well, if you're willing to stick around for the whole heat, you can stay up here in the broadcast booth with Finian and I, and we'll call this race out. And this is surely going to be an exciting one. We got a grid of 21 vehicles on the racetrack. Only 20 have gridded, actually. It looks like Shane DeVolder in the 34 is not on the racetrack. Bringing up the rear of the field there is Calvin Filarski in the 39. And he will bring up the tail end of the field. But we got Rich Jett on the 77 up on pole there. And Mike Kelly in the 5 on the outside lane. Now the pace car is going to work its way towards pit lane, make the hard left. And we're going to turn him loose for 20 laps here at Daytona to set the field for the Sim Marketing Solutions 250 here tonight in just a little bit. Pace car pulls off. Green flag is in the air here at Daytona.
And immediately, Rich Jett getting a bit of a jump there on the bottom side, but that's not going to matter come exit of turn 2, Kyle, because row number 2, it looks like the 56, and I think that's the 50 on the bottom side. They're going to get a huge run through these next couple of corners and really be able to close up, and it looks like that 56 actually has the better spot of the two. That's David Leclerc up top. He's going to get right to the back end of Mike Kelly here out of turn 2.
Already aggressive out of turn 2. You see guys bobbing and weaving a little bit, and a lot of the things we notice here is that the crashes kind of happen on the straightaways. A lot of tracks, the corners are the trouble spot, but with all the lateral movement you see on the straightaways, trying to hook up with drafting partners, trying to get fresh air to the motor, you see a lot of accidents happen on that back straightaway and in the tri-oval as well.
Yeah, when you're loaded up in the banking here at Daytona, and the same holds true for Talladega, the car is almost more stable because obviously you're loaded down, and the car has a lot of just, grip just from being loaded down. The G-force is holding you down to the track, whereas you get to the straightaways, and these cars, they're set up to turn left, obviously, so as you're trying to go in a straight line and still make it a passing move here or there, be it to the left or the right, wherever, the car is actually more unstable in the rear end because, again, it's set up to turn to the left through turns 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it's really interesting to try and make those moves, especially on cold tires when you're just getting used to things. And really, I think one of the biggest trouble spots out of the four corners around this track actually ends up not even being one of the four corners, but the tri-oval, because it's not quite that full corner where you're loaded totally down into the banking, but you still have that kind of, I guess, on the straightaway feel where the car isn't totally loaded in. The back end still wants to slide out, and as the 77 leads lap number 2 there, that's going to be a trouble spot. Going through the tri-oval, it's a little more bumpy, and the car still wants to move around like a straightaway.
Yeah, and looking along, so the top line looked like they were going to end up falling back, and the bottom line was going to end up proceeding, but here comes the top line again. They found their second win, and it looks like they're going to keep up with the inside line, so we got a 2-lane race pretty much at the moment.
And the 5 of Mike Kelly has a big push coming from the 56 of Norman Pelletier, the third, and into turn 3, they're dead heat up in the front.
Yeah, Mike Kelly is still playing with the air and using the fact that he has, Norman Pelletier on the top side. I called that out as David Leclerc earlier, but he's using the fact that he has the 56 behind him to try and get that push up, then side draft off the 77, slow the 77 down, and maybe even get himself a boost, get up there and try and get his nose ahead as a big bubble out of the 29 of Dean Doucette right there, shakes up that bottom line, and that's Dwayne Culberson on his bumper. But really, Mike Kelly is really being able to use his top line effectively right now, and you're only going to see that become more and more effective throughout the race.
Now we're riding on board now at the 1 of Dwayne Culberson, and it's so hard to see, and we're riding on top of the roof of the number 1 car, but you can't see anything more than 5 feet in front of you. How does a driver kind of predict what's going to happen up ahead of them when all they can see is the rear bumper of the car in front?
You know, Kyle, it's funny you ask that. I did a league race just a little bit before this one, and I actually caused a wreck by being on somebody's back end when they were on someone else's back end, just a bumper hook. And it's really tough as a driver just to know what's going on. Thankfully, on iRacing, we have that tool. It's called the black box, and you can use the relative screen on there to kind of get a picture of what's going on ahead of you. But without a real human spotter, it's really tough to see what's going on 2-3 cars ahead of you because you just have this big back end of the car right in front of you. So unless you have a human spotter that can really portray what's going on, you really have to dip out to the left, dip to the right, see what's going on, see how much room you have. Otherwise, if you get it at the wrong time in the corner, or if you're just up on somebody in the wrong spot, be it entry, straightaway, wherever, it's going to be a bad day. Realistically, you're going to end up hooking them.
And one thing we've been watching is that 56 of Pelletier has been shoving the 5 of Mike Kelly for a couple laps now, and you have to wonder when the engines are going to start getting hot here, Finian. And we know that restrictor plate racing is hard on these motors, but what do you do? What can you do when you're following someone so close, you're pushing them, shoving them, and your engine starts to feel a little hot, and you see that red light come up on the dash? What's your strategy? Is it more push the guy out in front as fast as you can to get the clean air, or do you kind of duck back and head to the rear of the field to get some fresh air to that engine?
Oh, that was me. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I mean, really, it's just engine management does come quite a bit into play. You know, you got to keep that radiator cool. And as Andrew was talking about, you know, dipping out and in. While you can kind of do a little bit of both. While you're dipping out a bit, you can kind of gauge, you know, which line's moving, which line has momentum, while also keeping your engine cool. And you know, you and me, we've been in races where super speed races where we've had that problem trying to keep the engine cool while trying to push. So it's this entire race is pretty much a balancing act between many different factors at the end of the day.
14 laps to go already, and it's been very clean, very fast racing so far, but Rich Jet in the 77 still out in front, dominating so far, but he's got the 5 of Mike Kelly just hanging on to that right rear quarter panel, kind of side drafting down the back straightaway, and you see that outside line making a harder push now.
Yeah, they're all stacked to right each other, and I think they're actually about to win. Looks like the inside line's trying to either cool off a bit or just relax, and it seems like the 5 is going to get clear, and almost the 56 as well, so that outside line's starting to gain some traction here, and the 5 looks like he might stay down low.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for any one driver to get out and stay out front like that to where Mike Kelly could, for a moment through turns 3 and 4, kind of play the Pied Piper like Dale Jr. used to do and work both the top and the bottom. Immediately, you see when he couldn't get back to the top side and block that 56 of Pelletier, that 56 got a big run through the tri-oval and down that second short shoot down into turn 1 with that big push from behind. And immediately, he's already got his nose ahead of the 5 of Kelly and almost has that position cleared, guys. So realistically, you have to be really quick on what you do, and almost you kind of want to stay up top when you get clear of that car to the inside because you don't want to lose that help outside. The only problem then is if you get that second car clear of the first car on the bottom, what if he dips out below you? He's going to get that lead for a little while, and that top line is really going to fall back.
I think the top line gives you that mobility to move forward, and the inside line kind of gives you a little bit of a sense of safety. If there's an accident there, it's a heck of a lot easier to avoid it by diving off into the apron or off into the grass or even down pit road to avoid an accident. You're in that top lane, you can move forward, but you're at risk of being involved in a wreck.
Yeah, and even in addition to that, too, you're talking about the bottom line giving you safety. It also leaves you kind of trapped down there. If you want to move or make something happen, you have cars in nearly every way, and then you have the yellow line to your left. So you pretty much can't find a way to go. So while it does provide you safety, it also leaves you trapped for any forward mobility.
And that yellow line rule in effect here tonight that will be enforced during these heats. And you got to be careful towards the end to not get yourself shoved down there. Because even though the guy shoving you down there might get a penalty, coming back up off the track, you could cause a wreck. We saw in the 09 Daytona 500 with Junior and Brian Vickers, that whole accident that ensued because of that. So we have to keep that in mind as we come down. We 11 laps to go this time by. So next time by will be 10 laps to go. and we'll be halfway through this race.
Yeah, halfway now, and it's actually a pretty good time to start looking back towards the rear of the field. And something is a little bit, I guess, I don't know if confusing is the word, but misleading, whereas normally you want to be in the top 20 for each row, right? Well, with this format, you want to be 19th or better, since neither of the two pole sitters, be it outside or inside, is in this heat race or duel, as you will, and actually the top line has just disintegrated. The 56 of Pelletier falling back with very little help behind the 3-car of George. They were going to lose a lot of positions, and now we have pretty much a monopoly down on the bottom side for a little bit. But back to that battle in the rear. Currently, actually now Jonathan Lawrence falls into that final position in this race, where I believe it was Gabriel, sorry, wow, that was messed up. Gabriel Perry did not take the green. So Jonathan Lawrence in 20th place actually would be cut right now. And for a while, Dan Barone was sitting there, but it looks like he made the pass, got up into 19th, and this battle is only going to heat up as laps wind down.
Yeah, this is really the cutoff spot. That 2 car is in it, and the 83 wants it. And we've come down now to 9 laps to go this time through. You got to start thinking about that if you're Jonathan Lawrence, and you got to start making your way forward. But Calvin Filarski in the 39 also kind of in danger here, as you see the 2 jump to the high lane. Look out, which comes across the nose of the 2, but can't quite get there in time. And looks like they'll survive that time through. That was a close and hairy moment there for a second.
Yeah, you can see a lot of guys are starting to look towards the top side. They're trying to maybe build up a last run to try to advance their position. And, you know, it all starts in the back, so if these guys can get hooked up and get going, they might be able to be at the front by the end of it. They still have 9 laps to go to get there.
You see the 11 of Dylan Thornton making a crazy move to the outside lane, but looked like it's going to pay off for him, but he's going to get split 3 wide here down the back straightaway. And up front, we got it all single file, but here towards the rear is where the action is really happening.
Yeah, this is where desperation is going to start to set in. Obviously, they're now in the second half of this race as Dan Barone gets shuffled and hung out to dry there. He's going to have to try and really balance this this lack of a draft he had for a while. He's going to be slower than the 83 getting behind. Looks like he'll be okay. We have a pretty good setup under these cars to help with drafting, thankfully. The Fuel Racing League has worked a lot on that throughout the summer. And thankfully he was able to get in line. But if you get hung out to dry up on the top side, if you don't get enough help, Nick Cohan hangs onto that car. That was sketchy there off into turn 1. You have to balance what you're doing here. Desperation's going to be setting in. You want to make a move, but if you get hung out there like Dan Barone almost was, and now Jonathan Lawrence might be, you're going to lose the draft.
You see a little bit of damage to the rear end of that 21 of Nick Cohan, and it's a very scary moment there. Had the car dead sideways heading into turn 1, but great hands and quick hands kept that 21 going the right direction. But a little bit of left rear damage shouldn't bother him too much. It's really the front nose of these things that's very aero sensitive around a place like Daytona.
All right, and Andrew, I gotta ask you. So we're coming down to the closing races. So you're all in this like giant single file line. When do you, as a driver, decide to make a second line work and try to get up to the front?
I mean, we already see a lot of these guys making their moves, and I think that was a perfect time if you're all the way in the back like you were, or like the 2 and the 83 are. And actually now the 11 goes to the wall. He just hit that wall. He pounded it down. 11, Dylan Thornton just completely, I don't know if he was trying to make a move to the outside. No, he's loose down the straightaway. Damages the front end of Dan Barone, and he keys up the mic. I'm not sure if he was happy about that one, but I actually liked the moves that we were seeing from the 83 and the 2 to make that move quick. And I think now if I'm further up in the pack, as these guys start to lose the draft back here, if I'm further up in the pack, I want to wait till about 3 to go. But I want to be planning that move 3 or 4 laps before, because you cannot just make a move immediately with these cup cars at Daytona Talladega anymore. You have to plan it, you have to set it up, so you got to do whatever work in whatever lane you're in that you need to do to make a move actually go forward, because if you don't immediately go forward, you're going to go straight to the back. So you really have to do a lot of planning. I think if I was way in the back like the 83 and the 2, I would have been planning from the start, and probably around halfway, maybe make that move, try and get some spots, try and file in ahead, or even just try and honestly hit the guy in front of you until he gets just a little bit loose, to move him just up the track a little bit and get your nose underneath him. It sounds really aggressive, but sometimes it's what you have to do.
And you see some damage to the nose of that 2 of Dan Barone, and he's just barely hanging on to the draft here, but he's got 5 laps to get himself back in front of the 83 of Jonathan Lawrence to get a shot at the feature here tonight. Yeah,
but unfortunately, like looking at the nose of his car, I think it's going to be a little too much damage for him to keep up. You kind of need a pristine car here to really keep up with these guys, and he's slowly but surely losing the draft. So I think he's probably kicking himself and knows the inevitable is going to happen. Unless a wreck does happen, that's his only saving grace at the moment.
Out up front, it's still pretty orderly up here with Mike Kelly leading the field, but Rich Jen at 77 real close to the bumper of that number 5. He's got the 50 of David Leclerc hanging there, waiting to make a move. But we're coming now to 4 to go, and time is beginning to run out to form that line because it takes a little bit of time to get the momentum going in that outside lane. Something that the Xfinity and truck vehicles don't seem to have so much trouble doing.
Yeah, and with that, struggle, I guess that's why I go back to making that move or planning that move 3 or 4 laps in advance, and that's really going to come in when we actually go to the main event tonight, because we do have those halfway points up for grabs. So we're going to see a lot of guys start to push right in the mid part of the race, and then it's going to come back to a lull, and we're starting to see, I guess, shades of what we'll see later on, as I'm actually going to be one of the ones out there battling for it. It's going to be tough because you have to set one of these moves up laps in advance, and with 40 cars out on the track, it's going to make it extremely tough for guys like me coming from the back of Duel 2, or I guess actually the mid part of the Duel. But anyone in the back is going to have a really tough time actually getting forward unless we have one big wreck up in the front. Almost, I mean, if you've run NIS on here at Daytona, Talladega, you kind of know the struggle. You have to just sit back and wait for a big wreck in order to have the ability to make a move, because you need runs behind you guys. And if you don't have the support behind you, you will go nowhere. We saw that completely disintegrate the top line earlier on.
Yeah, right now I'm seeing that 56 car, and he has a friend out there. I can't quite see the number at the moment. But, yeah, he seems to have a friend behind him. But those guys, if they can get some more help, they could be able to get up to the front here. But it doesn't seem like anyone's willing at the moment. So these guys aren't really running out of time to try to make a move. And if they're going to do it, they're going to really have to do it now, coming down to 2 to go.
And Mike Kelly's still leading that pack, but if you look and see, that's the 29 of Dean Doucette looking to the outside, and he's going to try to make a line. And the 50 of David Leclerc tries to jump up there, but the 77 blocks that move. So that was, the 29 still looking, and the 1 of Dwayne Culberson's going to drop to the inside and assume that position. And it looks like Dean Doucette is all by himself out there in the outside lane.
Yeah, what we're seeing is, a lot of these guys, you saw as the 29 was looking out, the 50 was also thinking about doing it, and the 29 wasn't sure, and he was kind of like, oh, are you going to come with me? And the 50 seemed like he was, and he did kind of leave him out there to dry, as the 50 now gets left out to dry. So it's a lot of trust that you need to have between these guys, and really just having faith that they're going to stick it out with you.
So David Leclerc's going to lose a couple spots here, but I'm curious to see what this 1 of Dwayne Culberson does. He's been very aggressive here today and been kind of hanging around the mid-pack, but he's moving his way forward now, and he's in 3rd on the white flag lap. 1 more lap to go at Daytona for the first heat for the Sim Marketing Solutions 250 at Daytona. And wow, look at the 50 right on the rear quarter panel of the 24 of Brady Briggs.
Yeah, no one's giving each other any space right now. If I was the 1, I would have jumped out with the 50 to try to get a run, but we'll see what the 77. I feel like he has something good up his sleeve, and there he goes. He jumps to the outside of the 5. The 5 goes up the block. And here comes the 1 trying to look up the inside, but he can't get it done, and everyone's looking every which way where to get to the front.
77 of Rich Jet can't make that move stick, but here comes the 1 of Culberson down to the inside now. He's got help from the 24 Brady Briggs. And now we're coming to the checkered flag. 2 wide for the lead. Mike Kelly's got the advantage to the checkered flag. Here comes the 1 on the outside. To the checkers, crash behind him. 24's in the wall.
Turn.
Across the line, and Mike Kelly takes... Oh, Dwayne Culberson got it. Culberson got him at the last second. 5,000ths of a second is the difference. Wow, what a finish there.
Yeah, that was a hell of a finish. Great job by those guys. And the 1 was just barely able to cross the line. I believe it'll kind of be hard for us to do it because the way our timing works to see who did not make the show. I believe it was the 20.
That will be Dylan Thornton. I actually was watching that battle towards the end, and Dylan got shuffled out by the 2 in the 83.
Yeah, the way that iRacing works, we will not get to look at a replay of that until a little bit later because we're heading straight to gridding for the second heat. And Andrew, you got to go. But thanks for sticking with us, and good luck in your heat, man.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Thanks for having me, and hopefully we can work something out in the future so I can do more of that.
Absolutely. All right, man. Have good luck.
Thanks.
All right. And here's Nick Cohan. And Nick, you just got through the first heat. A little bit wild there at the end, but told us earlier to give us a little rundown on how this whole thing works, and maybe you could give us a little insight on more about this format.
Nick, you got us?
Yeah, sorry about that. Wrong button. Yeah, we got you. Yeah, that was very stressful for just a little duel like that, but we made it, so we're happy. That's quite the wreck there at the end, though.
All right, Nick. Well, we got this format so far has been created a lot of excitement. We went caution-free in that first heat. What are your expectations for the second one? Is it going to be calmer or a little bit more aggressive, you think?
I suspect kind of the same thing. You know, everybody was kind of patient in the beginning, try not to you know, ruin their chances here for the 250 main event here. But as it went on there at the end, I think everybody kind of got comfortable up in the front, knowing that, oh, you know, I think we're good to make it here. So they're trying to improve their spots, and I think that's why it got so hectic there at the end. So I'm kind of expecting the same thing here. Um, hopefully, hopefully they can run it out to the green all the way to the line like they did there. That way we can all race it out. Because that was a lot of fun. Like I said, it was kind of stressful being in the back there, but I do expect some good racing here in this second duel.
Yeah, and right now we have 19 cars on the track for this heat, so no one is going to be going home. Everyone in this race is going to end up making the feature. So I gotta ask, so with knowing that you're safe, do you think that these guys are going to amp up their aggression just a little bit more?
It's possible. I think everybody here is going to want to try and start as close as they can to the front as possible. But it's really hard to pass. So I think that's where it gets a little hairy. It's just that you can hold your own on the outside, but it's really hard to improve your position, especially if you don't have at least 4, 5, 6 cars in line with you. You just can't really go anywhere on the outside. So.
Well, green flag is in the air. 20 laps here for the second heat for the Sim Marketing Solutions 250. And Nick, we already see the front couple already single file, which is not something we saw in the first heat. A lot of double file for most of that race, but they got assembled that last lap, kind of created that crazy finish. But from your perspective, do you think they waited a little bit too long to go double file there? Because there was a lot of movement the last lap or two when they started going double file.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's just a product of trying to make sure you're there at the end to have a shot to make it into the main. So I think you're going to kind of see the same here. We were kind of double file for the first 5, 6 rows there, and then it went down a single file, and then towards the end, everybody's trying to make a move, and that's when it gets a little dicey. But I think you're going to kind of see the same thing. You have those Steel Horse guys up there in the front, Rhett McBride and Greg Evans, 2 teammates there. They're going to be working together, and they're going to be communicating and letting each other know if that outside lane's getting any runs, whatnot, and they're probably going to try and probably not be too aggressive to try and stop that lane, but you don't want to drop back too far here and get yourself out of contention.
With this heat format, it creates a lot of stress on these drivers. Is this more of a stressful event than, say, just a single car qualifying in a single race? Because I feel like there's a little bit more on the line now with the ability to be eliminated in a race condition when you can a lot more easily wreck yourself than a single car qualifying.
Yeah, you know, there's positives and negatives, and there's different ways to look at it. I think the single file, if we just had single file qualifying here and it was just, you know, top 40 on time, I think that would still be really stressful, especially at a track like this where, you know, kind of qualifying is kind of all over the place. Whoever's the most smooth with their steering wheel, whoever gets out of pit road and runs the most smooth line around the track is normally the quickest, and it doesn't really necessarily take I don't want to say it's the wrong way, but a ton of skill to be able to qualify good here. It's just a different type of racing. And having this dual format like this, you know, you can race your way in. You have a shot to, you know, make some moves to get your way in there. So it has its, you know, different ways of looking at it. But I think it definitely does add stress because you can get taken out and it wouldn't be any of your own doing. You know, if you don't make a good qualifying lap in a single lap qualifying, that would be all on you. But if you had a big wreck in front of you and you get taken out like that, that would really kind of stink if it has nothing and, you know, you can't go anywhere and just wrong place, wrong time.
All right, I don't want to make you pick favorites, but I've got 17 laps to go now, and we're single filed out for the most part. Who are you looking at to maybe potentially take home this heat victory?
It's going to be kind of tough to get by Rhett McBride and Greg Evans up there. 2 Steel Horse guys, like I mentioned. Their teammate Jonathan Kiddell there in 5th place. I'm sure he's going to want to get up there, but I don't think he's going to go to the outside just to get up there, maybe towards the end. But it's, like I said, it's really difficult to pass, so in order for somebody to get around Greg and Rhett, they're really going to have to get in line and get like 6, 7 cars and really get some good runs off the corners and kind of pinch that inside line. You're kind of going to see that in the race, especially during the end of it. You kind of saw a little bit of it up there in the first duel. Whoever's on the outside lane, you really need to squeeze that bottom line as much as possible, and it's really sketchy, especially with netcode and online racing. But that's the only way to really keep your outside lane moving. So I think it's going to be tough for anybody to get up there with Rhett and Greg. I think it's going to come down to those two at the end.
All right, Finian. Well, one of the things we've seen from the first heat is, like we mentioned earlier, it got double file a lot quicker. This race is strung out very, very quickly, and it looks like these guys are more biding their time. So if you're Zach Buchanan right now, who looks like he's on the outside of, I believe that's the 71 of Gale Brooks, what is your strategy, Buchanan's? Is it go out there, be aggressive, because there's, everyone else is just kind of hanging out and biding their time, or are you one of those guys that just fall in line and finish where you finish?
Honestly, for this, I mean, considering, you're going to be in the main event no matter what, I would say, to hell with it, might as well try to make something work. And as we saw, a lot of these guys were trying to get something to work on the outside. It was a little bit too late for some of them. But, honestly, might as well try now, is try to get some friends, try to get some people to work with you, and try to slowly but surely work your way up. 15 laps is a lot of time, and it isn't a lot of time at simultaneously. So, try to get some people to work with you now so they can be with you at the end of the race.
And if we're looking at the fourth car in line and it's bright white, that's Brian Bliss in the number 18. We've got Trading Paint's not cooperating very nicely with the number 18 here tonight, but that is the 18 in fourth place there with the 65 right behind him. All right, we're a couple laps into this thing, and so far it's seemed pretty orderly, a little bit more orderly than the last one, but this is one of those races at Finian that could potentially spice up towards the end. Okay, well, I proved myself wrong. They're already spicing up down the back straightaway. And we're going 2-3 wide now. And who's that in the middle of it? Looks like...
Looks like Ethan Kurtz there in the 05 there.
Yeah, and he's got the 96 of Will Roberts tucked in behind him, and the 23 of Aaron Henderson also jumping to the outside lane, and the 6 of Tim Silliman leading a charge. And they're going to try to make their way forward on the outside line.
Yeah, they're really pushing hard there. The 23 is pushing the 6 really hard there. Tim got a little wiggly here with the 23 there of Henderson pushing him. It was really close to being a wreck there, but it looks like they got some organization there on the outside. They might get a run here.
Yeah, it seems like they're all working together really nicely here, and this is what I was talking about, trying something, finding some friends to work with, and here you go. I don't know if these guys are on the same team or not, but I'll check that actually now. But yeah, these guys are trying to look up front as this. I'm trying to see who's that car flashing right now. Is that
the looks like that's a 72 of Jack Ritchie.
Yeah, 72 is going to jump out there, and that's also one thing that I have to talk about too. A lot of this is spontaneous, on these speed races. It's a lot of things that's required. Do you want to choose to go into this line? Do you want to stay where you are? Do you want to make a move? And it happens on a fly, and you got to really think about what you're going to do, because that could affect where you are at the end of the race.
And in contrast to the first heat, which was double filed and singled out, we've gone from single to double, and now from second on back, got 3, 4, 5, 6 rows of cars side by side now. The 72, 6, 23, 05, and 95, and add looks like that is the 45 back there that tucked in. Yes, it is the 45 of Andrew Cardinale we were just talking to.
Look at that side by side for the leader. Really wasn't expecting that. I really didn't think that outside lane with just 5 cars was going to be able to get up there, but they got a really good push down the backstretch there.
Strength in numbers. That outside lane's got 5 cars in it, and that is just about enough to get a decent run on the inside group and start pinching them down in the corners to maintain their momentum.
Yeah, it looks like that outside lane's trying to squeeze the bottom as much as they could, like I mentioned earlier. As you see Rhett and Jack Ritchie, they're door to door, really close. Ritchie trying to get all that side draft he can off the 8, but it looks like Greg's trying to tuck up underneath there to keep Rhett up from front.
The 65 of Jonathan Cadell got pushed below the yellow line there for a moment, but blended his way back in front of the 76 of Rick Thompson. And this is where it gets a little hairy on that inside lane. When you got the outside pinching you just a little bit, it's hard to keep these cars right around that bottom. It might not look so violent from here. Let's ride on board maybe the roll bar cam. We're riding on board now with Greg Evans. You can see it looks smooth from here, but I can tell you it is requiring a lot of concentration to keep that car down on the bottom lane without sliding up into the guy on your outside.
Well, yeah, being as a driver who's done this thing, you got to worry about the guy in front of you, the guy next to you, the guy behind you, guys several cars linked back. You got to be aware at all times, and while you're thinking about that, you also got to drive the car too. And these cars, with the push from the arrow push from the guys in front of you, the car's going to push out of the corner. You got to be careful, got to worry about engine temperatures. There's just so many things that are going through your mind, and just keeping focus on what's at hand.
And now we're riding on board with Will Roberts in the 96, and Roberts ducks back down to the bottom. He's running 10th right now, about to get 9th away from Ethan Kurtz in the 0-5. You see the car wiggle on corner exit there, but look, you can't see anything. It's a wall of race cars.
It looks like that outside lane's starting to fall apart now. You see Ethan start to drop back because he doesn't have any help behind him. And that in turn makes the front 3 cars start to fall back. So unless somebody jumps up to the outside there to push Ethan up there, you'll start seeing the 23 dropping back as you kind of see there.
And looks like the front 2 are just about to get themselves clear, but here comes the 72 back on the outside. That's Jack Ritchie.
Yeah, it's looking like these guys are starting to lose a little bit of steam. And you know, you really, like you were saying earlier, it's strength in numbers. The more guys you have on the outside to work with, the better your run is. And with 4 cars, it is looking like it's going to be a little bit weak. So if they can get someone else to join them, they should be able to make them another charge. I think that's 71 of Gale Brooks that jumps to the outside to join them in their quest. And I think that's Zach Buchanan also in the back jumping to the outside. So a lot of these guys are starting to make their moves now in perfect timing with 8 laps to go.
And you also see the exact opposite in the back. You see Tyler Dolger there and Zachary Buchanan hanging in the back of that pack, trying not to get involved. And then you have Rob Thomas and Tanner Coster way off, trying to make sure they definitely don't get any damage, trying to hang on as much as they can in the back.
And out up front still with that 8 of Rhett McBride and Greg Evans. That teammate duo has been unstoppable so far. We're coming back to 7 laps ago. And now you have to wonder if there's anybody that's friends enough to get a line going like they just did a few laps ago and maintain that enough to get someone past the leaders.
I think you'll see with about 5 to go, I think you'll start seeing people moving around a little bit more, trying to make some moves. I think you'll see the 3rd place car there, Brian Bliss, try and make a move. And quite honestly, if he does, Jonathan Kittell's not going to go with him. He's teammates with those 2 up in the front, so he's going to try and tuck right back underneath Greg and try and make it a steel horse 1, 2, 3 finish here at the end.
That would certainly be a good way to start the night for those guys heading into the 60-lap feature event here in just a few minutes. But you see Tim Silman dropping to the inside right in front of Aaron Henderson in the 23, and that leaves the 72 of Ritchie out to dry. But Ritchie's got, I believe that is the 96 of Will Roberts. Yes, it is, that teal car. And behind him, and there's Silman dropping out in front of the 72 now. So Silman did the over-under and is back out in front of Ritchie.
Yeah, it looks like that outside lane's starting to get some momentum. They're starting to line up.
Oh, no, you can go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, just, you know, it's going to take a lot for that outside lane to clear Rhett McBride and Greg, man, I keep twisting that up tonight. But that outside lane, like I said, I think that 3rd place car is going to try and jump up. I know Rick Thompson there, sitting there in 5th place. I know he's getting a little antsy. I know he's going to like to try and get up there in the front. If he gets a chance, he'll try and jump up. And you saw the 23 who was up there on the outside. He will probably go with him and try and get that outside lane moving.
One of the drivers I'm looking at right now is the 6 of Tim Silliman. They've been slowly creeping their way forward, and now he's moved up into 5th, and he's got a run now, and he's got the 45. You see a little bit of action there, the 76. Got a little sideways there, Rick Thompson, but Silliman's making his way forward just ever so carefully, and just slowly, you can see now down the back straightaway, just getting inches and inches, and he's almost up to the 3rd place, number 18 of Brian Bliss.
Yeah, what usually tends to happen is that the inside one will kind of get bunched up a bit, and they really can't go any more than they can. So the outside line will start to then get a push, and it's kind of a lot of ebb and flow that happens at these tracks. So we're going to see, as there's a lap car up ahead, how these guys are going to manage their lines as they're coming down 4 laps to go now.
Yeah, Travis unfortunately had to work late, so luckily using the second duel here, but if I'm not mistaken, he might be making the race based off, I think all top 20 here makes it. I'm not sure if only one doesn't make it or not, but he unfortunately had to work late. That's why he's 10 laps down now, but he gets out of the way there on the outside lane, lets everybody go through.
So the field will orderly work their way by on the inside, and looks like that will clear the hazard of the 93. And heading into turn 3 now, we'll be coming back to 3 laps to go, and you see the 72 of Jack Ritchie, who was in control of this race, at least from the outside lane, up in row 2 just a couple laps ago. Now finds himself 10th. And that's a long way to move for yourself forward in a couple laps.
Ooh, contact there in a tri-oval. What a save.
That's the 0-3 of Nathan Bowers down there on the inside. Oh, look out. This is going to be sketchy.
Wow.
3-wide contact with in the door. The
Oh,
0-5's
Ethan.
in the wall. I cannot believe they didn't just spin out there.
Wow, excellent driving by Ethan there. It didn't look that bad, but he was wiggling all the way from the tri-oval into turn one there. Even got into the fence, and that fence acts like glue sometimes. So that was an excellent job of holding on to it there. But he's going to definitely have some damage and not be able to catch up here.
Yeah, the 05 and the 4 of Rob Thomas are both going to unfortunately lose the draft. They're going to make it into the show, but they're going to be starting towards the back of the field. But meanwhile, up front, yeah, the outside line is, I was going to say it was losing momentum, but they're getting a little bit of help. Maybe not. So these guys are starting to make their decisions. Do you want to go high? Do you want to stay low? And this is going to set up how they're going to finish. And
with 2 laps to go now, I think the second line moving their way forward methodically is out the window. I think now if you're Greg Evans, you're I know it's your teammate, Finian, but maybe it's just a heat race, doesn't matter that much, but I'll go for it. Turn 4, the worst you can finish is like 10th. Might as well give it a shot, but we'll see coming to the white flag this time by what these drivers will do to make their move.
Yeah, I mean, right now it seems we have a 10-car breakaway up front, so might as well try something, throw something at the wind and do something. But it seems these guys are going to be single file for the moment now. But we're going to see probably some guys start to jet out on the backstretch or even in turn 1.
It's kind of interesting. Cadell there got shuffled out, and so now if the third place car there, Brian Bliss, goes to the outside, I think Rick Thompson might go with him. He's got nothing to lose here, but we're going to see. He's not going to have a Steel Horse teammate behind him that would ditch him, so this is going to be interesting to see what happens here down the backstretch.
Yeah, Brian Bliss has been sitting there in third for most of the race, and it looks like, here the 23's ducking out. He's got some help from behind him. That's the 45, Andrew Cardinale, and they're going to give up on that.
They're going to have enough momentum here.
Yeah, it would really take pretty much the 7 car to jump out at the last second to really have any chance of that outside lane working.
Oh, here we go, Finian.
Here he goes.
Can he get the side draft? That's going to be hard to get. Here he comes to the outside. He's going to have a push. And Rhett McBride will take the victory here. Greg Evans, wow. Brian Bliss, Rick Thompson. So orderly finish, but the 7 tried to take it away and almost had it, but Brian Bliss gave the 8 a big shove to the finish, and that was it.
Yeah,
no crashes at the line. That's good.
Yeah, but yeah, you can see he was trying to make that outside work, but yeah, just didn't have anyone that really to help him, and he lost the initial momentum that he had. But that was a great race. So I got to say thank you for being in the booth, Nick, and good luck in the future race.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. It was really cool. It's the first time being in the booth like this. You guys look like you have a really good broadcast going. I've been watching here on my left monitor. It looks really, really good. So keep up the good work, and hopefully we put on a really good show for you.
Awesome. Well, thank you, and good luck in the race, man. Have a good night.
Thanks, guys.
All right, we got a couple minutes of warm-up here. We're going to go take a break real quick, get a drink of water. We'll be right back for you with the feature race. 60 laps here, and it is going to be the Sim Marketing Solutions 250. Stick with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Sim Marketing Solutions 250 for the Rigshare Fuel Cup Series, and welcome back to Sim TV. We're just finishing up the pre-race warm-up here, 60 laps to decide the winner of the first round of this series, Finian. And next week we go to Chicago, and that's an intermediate track, a little bit different than the restrictor plate racing we're going to see this week, but the schedule is very diverse. We got some road courses on there, we got a couple short tracks, but what's something that you're looking forward to about Chicago? I know the tire wear is one for me, but maybe a little bit of highline action. I think that's something that we're not used to seeing at a lot of tracks.
Well, honestly, I can't say much. I haven't really seen too much for iRacing on Chicagoland. But yeah, I'm hoping we can see some different lines going, different strategies going, and these guys have been putting on a hell of a show so far, and I can't wait to see them at an intermediate track that we're going to next week.
A lot of the same road course racing. Let's pony them all up, make them go right for a little bit. Let's see how that goes.
Yeah, we got Watkins Glen and Road America on the schedule, so those two races should be amazing to watch. And this series is a 17 race season, and they're pretty much running every week other than Thanksgiving, the week of Thanksgiving. So 17 races, and we're going to end in December, so it's going to be a fun action-packed season up ahead.
All right, and checkered flag is in the air for the warm-up. We're going to get them gridded up and ready to go for 60 laps around here at Daytona. Restrictor plate racing. And, of course, Timothy Johnson and Gabriel Perry already first and second from the single car qualifying, and Dwayne Culberson with his spectacular victory in that first heat over Mike Kelly in the 5. That was a great race there. 5,000ths of a second was the gap between those two, so pretty spectacular to watch. But we're getting ready to go racing, and caution free for both of the first heats. I don't think we're going to be that lucky this time through. I think we might get one about the halfway point. So it'll be interesting to see how the cautions factor into this, especially late race restarts. That'll always spice things up. And without the green-white checkered format, you have to be a little bit careful those closing laps making your moves.
Yeah, I mean, but honestly, the guys shown that these guys have had great car control. These guys know what they're doing. They're patient and know when to be aggressive as they were coming to the line in that first heat. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to what these guys have to put on. We have a full grid, and yeah, unfortunately,
trading paints just does not like Brian Bliss's paint scheme tonight. I don't know what that's all about, but
yeah, Brian Bliss's car, I don't know what it is, but yeah, he's not gonna unfortunately have a paint scheme. So sorry, Brian, it's nothing we can do. We did try 2, 3, crash. So I don't know what just happened.
I'm a little bit confused here.
Yes, I think some people are trying to act a little naughty.
Well, yeah, there's something not right about this.
Yeah,
Did we lose connection? I'm trying to figure out what's going on. No, we're still up and good. Oh. Okay, all right. Thank God. Nick Cohan just told us iRacing servers got messed up. Going to be another 5-minute delay here until we go green. Whew.
Okay, I was really confused.
Hey, just letting you guys know, there's an issue with the heats and the way they're setting up, so we have to put up a new room.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We were
You're
so
welcome.
confused there. We thought everyone just went crazy on you guys.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, thanks for the update, Tim Silman. We're going to go to break, and we'll get loaded into the new room here. Stay with us. We're not quite sure how long this break is going to last, but it should just be a couple minutes. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway and the Rigshare Fuel Cup Series. A couple technical difficulties there this evening, but we are just about to get ready to go racing for 60 laps here at Daytona. We had an issue with the heat format that didn't pop up in testing, so we're back and we're ready to go racing now, so thanks for sticking with us. Of course, you can find a link to the point standings in the video description after the race, as well as some timestamps for you, and I'll make sure to post those in the comment section so people can find their way around this broadcast nice and easily. Anyway, 10 seconds left in this warm-up session where the Thompson brothers came out up on top, Fred and Rick in the 46 and 76, but that's no matter. We're about to go racing for 60 laps, Finian, and we saw the 13 of Gabriel Perry and the 67 of Brad Collins, both very quick, as well as Timothy Johnston in the 28, the pole sitter. Do you get any picks out of the gate? Anybody that stands out to you just yet?
Well, I really like that one car in that first heat. I forgot the name of the driver. My apologies. But yeah, you just pulled some great moves. time that run to perfection. Oh, just eking out a win by 0.05 of a second. So if he seems like he knows what he's doing, so if he can be up there and be in a prime position, yes, that's Dwayne
Culberson. Dwayne Culberson.
There
Yep.
you go. Thank you.
That's the one you were thinking of.
Yes. So if he can just time his run right and do exactly what he did in the first heat, he should be able to come out on top.
The grid is just now forming down there on pit lane. We're looking from high above Daytona International Speedway. Beautiful facility here, 2.5 mile super speedway. And got bested by Talladega Super Speedway a couple of years later, but still the American Center for Racing. And you see Lake Lloyd there looming underneath. Cars used to crash out into the lake back in the day before they put that safer barrier down the Daytona super stretch there. But beautiful facility here to go racing for 60 laps. And it's going to be a wild one, and I expect to see some yellows. I think people are getting antsy now after waiting for a little while. I think the pressure is going to start to come on. Look at those beautiful... There's, we got Dwayne Culberson looks like he's ready to go. So we got a trio of Camrys as your top three. Then you got an SS, and then looks like Greg Evans in the 7 is not going to be able to grid. So it looks like a couple of drivers are going to miss the grid. Also the 69 of Adam Jersky and Andrew Cardinale in the 45.
Yeah, I kind of wonder, since there's a group of these guys, I'm going to try to check on the names maybe and see if this is some team strategy perhaps. Some guys just, waiting it out. But, yeah, so some interesting moves by some guys electing not to start the race with the pack. So they might probably be trying to run out, and they are going to bet on a caution coming out to bring them back up to the front.
Oh, there's going to be cautions for sure, Finian, but the over-under is the question. How many do you think we're going to get? I say 2 is probably a good number, maybe 3. I don't think we're going to be able to get through this race caution-free, not with a field of 39 or 40 starting this race. So certainly going to be a wild one for sure. Timothy Johnson, Gabriel Perry in the top 2. They were advanced straight from single car qualifying. Dwayne Culberson and Rhett McBride, your 2 heat winners. So those drivers are your top 4. Then Greg Evans was unable to grid. So Rich Jett and Brian Bliss. And hey, look, Brian Bliss actually has a paint scheme on his car now. That's the Toyota number 18. He's actually loaded in, so we can actually see what his scheme is now. Thank you, Trading Paints.
Pace car runs out, we're going to get ready to go 60 laps here with this gigantic field of cars. And this should be a fun race, and going to start off the season right.
All right, we're heading down to the front straightaway now, and the pace car is going to pull off. We have 60 laps to go here at Daytona. Green flag is in the air. Two by two by two by two.
Yeah, the inside line got a great start there. It seems like they're going to have a nice run going up as some guys from the outside are diving to the inside. So if those guys on the outside can get recuperated, they should be able to get a run back up to the front.
Down the back straightaway now, a huge field. We got 39 or so cars on the racetrack. Now we got them all sorted on the ticker, so it looks like the 28 is going to jump out to lead early. That's Timothy Johnston, who is the pole sitter. And Dwayne Culberson, of course, winning his heat in spectacular fashion by 0.05 of a second over the 5. And the 5 car is nowhere to be found. I can't see him just yet. Can't even find him on the ticker there, Finian. He has disappeared.
Yeah, it's interesting. So we'll see if we can find him at a later time. But yeah. So 28 is going to maintain his lead over Culberson? That's what I'm saying.
Culberson, yep.
And Bliss right behind him in 3rd. So it looks like these guys are starting to get single file out just a bit. And I'm not honestly surprised by that at all. We have 60 laps. Unfortunately, the ticker is showing the timer, but there is 60 laps in the race. And so these guys are just going to try to feel it out. Just ride along. It's time to just get everything, all the laps on your belt, keep the car going clean. And just run this race out.
Yeah, that ticker will sort itself out here shortly. That's just a glitch that happens occasionally. So it should show the lap count here in just a couple laps. But meanwhile, out front, that 28 of Timothy Johnston not being contended with just yet. But we look back just a little ways, and it's the 13 of Gabriel Perry, who started on the outside of the front row. Fell back just a little ways, but here he has the 77 of Rich Jett and the 96 of Will Roberts hanging in behind him, and looks like our ticker has sorted itself out.
almost on cue.
Yep.
But yeah, it's seeing single file pretty much. The outside lines just barely being kept alive by Will Roberts there and the 77 and 13. So they're just going to be riding it out. Eventually, I imagine they're going to try to fall in line, and as you can see, 77's already looking down low.
So through turns 3 and 4. Massive field of cars. And we kind of have two definite groups starting, and the second group starts there with the 50 of David Leclerc, who was very aggressive in that second heat. But that's 24th on back is that second group of cars.
Yeah, it's really just a matter of running these laps out and see, yeah, actually the two guys that are on the outside, the 77 and the 13, they're actually making some headway, which I'm surprised with that two-car tango they got going on. They're up to about 4th in line. They actually got some help by the red car behind them.
Riding on board now with the 72 of Jack Ritchie, looking at the outside lane there, and the 23 of Aaron Henderson he's been one of the aggressive drivers, been popping himself out a lot, and he's out, the last car, he's the red car up there in the outside lane, you see. And Tim Silliman also jumping up there as well.
Yeah, so the high lane's starting to get formed. Some drivers are thinking, you know what, I want to move up further in this pack that they got going on here. And it is about a 14-car pack that they got in the lead.
Battle for the lead. Here comes the one of Dwayne Culberson on the outside. He's got help from Gabriel Perry, who is very quick in the qualifying session. And Rich Jett, of course, in the 77 pushing as well. And we have a side-by-side battle for the lead here on lap 5.
Yeah, everyone's doing a great job so far. 5 laps in, no wrecks, nothing to really note of. And the one's going to just eke ahead of the 28. Not enough to clear, so they're going to keep going side by side. But yeah, definitely liking what he's been able to do in that car, just finding himself and able to put himself in good position so far.
And that outside lane's got 4 cars in it. Looks like that's probably about the minimum to get a decent run going. We saw 5 earlier in one of the heats, and that worked out pretty well. But you see the one of Culberson might actually be able to clear, and he does, the 28 of Timothy Johnston. Will he drop to the bottom? Looks like he will. Oh, nope, he's going to jump back out to the outside lane now.
Yeah, and I think one thing we really gotta talk about is really just them. Oh, as these guys are just about to go 3 wide, I think. Yeah, the one looks like the 13 just got on the outside of the one, trying not to get into him, and outside lane's gonna lose all of its steam right here, and these guys are gonna end up falling back a few places. So that's unfortunate for them. But yeah, what I was gonna talk about is, you know, just how important it is to have friends, and that's kind of a funny thing to say when it comes to racing. But you really need some friends out here, guys who are willing to work with you, because if guys don't want to work with you, you're going to be caught out to dry when it's all said and done. So, you know, got to figure out, it's pretty much a mental chess game with these guys, figuring out, okay, I can work with this car, no, this guy isn't really a guy I want to work with at the end, and position yourself accordingly.
Looking out from the rear bumper of Timothy Johnston in the 28 car, and you see that's the 18 of Brian Bliss, the nose of his Toyota Camry, hot on his heels. And here comes the one of Culberson again with the shove from Gabriel Perry. Those two drivers have been working very nicely together in the opening laps of this race.
Yeah, but I gotta imagine, though, with these guys constantly just on each other, that 13 car is getting just a little bit hot under the hood, but they do have a huge help on the outside line. These lines are pretty much even up front, so the one might have a good shot at taking the lead here, but it's a matter of, if will he stay on the outside line and work with the 13, or is he going to leave him for dry and maintain and try to claim the lead?
Side by side now, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 cars all, and make that 12 all side by side now, working their way through turn 2. Oh wow, the one of Culberson drops to the bottom just in front of Timothy Johnston. That's the first time today we've seen anybody assume that lead. It looks like Johnston's going to be trapped now, and not really anywhere for him to go.
Yeah, so right now the one's going to maintain that lead on the bottom, and you can see the 13 is already trying to gain a run and one-up him and take the lead, and the 13 will actually end up, Perry will end up leading this lap.
See a lot of movement around this front group, and you got to be careful because this is very easy to trigger a wreck this early. You got guys that think they're invincible. There hasn't been a wreck yet today except for the finish of the first heat, so these guys are feeling pretty safe out here, and you don't want to get too safe and start making moves that result in accidents.
Yeah, it's really that just false sense of security that, you know, you're feeling that you can make whatever move you want and people are going to pretty much just let you get away with it. But a lot of these guys, you know, don't want to give up positions and they want to keep on going where they are. So, yeah, it's just a matter of just being careful of what you're doing. And so far so good. We're 6 of the way through this race, and the laps are really ticking down.
About to start lap 10 here. We're riding on board now at the 60 of Jonathan Cadell. And 2 distinct groups forming here. And it looks like the 96 of Roberts is kind of towards the tail of this main group. But hanging on there nicely in the Keurig number 96.
Yeah, I think honestly the big key is really just to try to stay as much as you can with the lead draft. You know, just hang on at the tail at your own risk, really. But if you can at least stay with the lead draft and the lead pack, you should be able to have a good shot at getting back up there with about 20 laps to go.
The one of Culberson switched lanes up to the high side again, and he's going to take another run at getting past Gabriel Perry, who helped him to the lead the first time. And I really like that number 1 car fitting. He's been very aggressive today, but made pretty safe moves. You've seen his quick hands there in that first heat, saved him from a wreck, and he's just putting himself in the right position. He got down on the bottom behind the 13, wasn't a good spot to move forward, so he put himself back in the outside lane, and it's paying off for him as he's heading to try to battle for the lead on the backstretch here on lap 11.
Yeah, you'll see the 28 peeking out a bit, just cooling his engine, just trying to see what's going out in front of him. He was also pretty strong in the early running and was able to maintain his position until the outside line really got going. So, yeah, so from what I'm seeing so far, it looks like it's going to pretty much be a 2-lane race. I doubt three-ride's really going to happen unless it gets really crazy up front. But, yeah, these 2 lines so far are being maintained. These guys are going to be double file for at least quite a few laps. And it's definitely a lot more interesting than seeing them put around single file.
Yeah. So we're over a sixth of the way done with this, and the laps are taking off pretty quickly, 45-second laps around here, so looks like we've got a pretty good race pace going here, and so far nothing really concerning in terms of the driving here. We've seen some very good etiquette for super speedway racing, especially. It's no matter what league or what race you're in, official or hosted or league, the plate races are always kind of a question mark, but these guys today have been very good at keeping their lines straight. And you can see now that the groups have kind of sorted themselves out.
Yeah, and I mean, I can't remember the last time that I've seen a field of nearly full. Like, we had 39 guys start this race, not a single caution in sight. And that's really, really hard to pull off at a super speedway track. So, hats out to these guys, all driving their best and their cleanest. And see these guys keep it up. And honestly, it's looking like a prediction earlier of having 2-3 cautions might be completely wrong. And especially if we can cut back to some of the guys who ended up starting in the pits that are further behind the field, if they're still running out.
Adam Jersky was one of the drivers that started a little bit towards the rear of the field here, and they've lost the draft quite a bit. But Jonathan Lawrence in the 66 and the 29 of Dean Doucette kind of rounding out the tail of the field here.
Yeah, these guys are a little ways back, but they're maintaining that draft, and you know, it's really, I can't stress this enough how dangerous and how concerning it is to be the last car. If you mess up just a bit and start to lose the car ahead of you, you're going to be all the way caught out. So, yeah, so far everyone's pretty much sticking around around the pack and just keeping it going, and everyone's kind of filing in double file as well, so we'll see how this continues to go on. And
down the back straightaway now, we're completed 14 laps. There's Brad Collins side by side, and I remember Collins was the one that was quickest in the practice for this race, and he's right next to the 72 of Jack Ritchie, who was another driver the force to be reckoned with here. And we got a battle for the lead up front again, and it's Gabriel Perry and a 28 of Timothy Johnson trying to get his rightful position back.
It's either 28 made a split second decision to jump to the outside ahead of one of Culberson. And it might be able to pay off. They got a little bit of momentum going on the outside, and we'll see as they come out of the corner that outside is just going to really prevail as they head down the back straightaway, and the 28 is going to be just ahead, and he's going to be completely clear. So we're going to see, will he stay on the top of the 1, or is he going to dive below with the 13?
Looks like he's going to maintain that high lane right now and line up with the 1 of Dwayne Culberson, but this front group, it's about 20 deep. That's side by side, and they've been like this for most of the 15 laps here.
Yeah, of note that 13 and the 28, I'm looking at my information here. Those two guys are teammates, so those two guys are going to try to work together to keep this one, as I think they both know that he has a strong car to win this race.
And we just passed the 25% marker, Finian, so Because we've seen these guys be aggressive so far, but is there room for a third lane out there? Because we see these guys maintaining 2 wide very easily, and when it comes down to the end of the race, even the outside lane, you're going to get you find yourself in a traffic jam.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's kind of hard to go 3 wide with these cars. You really just need a lot of people to work with you. As we were talking about earlier, how you need like about 4 or 5 guys to get a good group going. So if they can jump, if guys are willing to work with it and stay on the outside and maintain their lane and whatnot, there could be a third line working, although I'd say it's highly unlikely.
And one of the things we saw at Talladega with the D4SP guys with the Truck Series race that we did a little while ago, they were able to do 3 wide there, but again, Talladega just that much wider than Daytona makes it that much easier to make passes out there. And so far today, it's really been the 2 wide game that's been playing out so far. You see the one giving a huge shot to the 28 of Johnston, pushing him out in front of the 13 by another car length or 2 as they head down the back straightaway towards turn 3.
Yeah, these Dizzy Motorsports guys are, or I should say they were doing a good job of maintaining the lead of both lanes as the one's able to jump down below. And gonna end up taking the lead here, I think.
Yeah, the one at Culberson just snookered Johnson there for a second, but Johnson's got some huge help, and that's the form of the 77 of Jet and the 23 of Aaron Henderson shoving viciously, and then throw Tim Silliman in there in the 6 car in the outside lane.
Yeah, so these guys are doing a good job of just, you know, maintaining their lines, you know, moving around where they can, and just being really patient. Haven't seen anyone make too crazy of a move so far, but yeah, great driving all around.
Saw the 97 of Tanner Koster weaving a little bit there on the back straightaway. Maybe he was trying to get some air to the grill of that machine, but changed lanes a couple times there.
Yeah, that's like we were talking about, cool about engine management. It's kind of hard, honestly, to get the air to the engine. You know, you have to peek out when you can, but if you're on the inside line, it's kind of hard to peek out anywhere. You got the line to your left, and you got cars to your right. So just peeking out, like making sure you don't get into anyone is also key, and making sure you're also getting enough air is good as well as not being run over by behind.
Of course, Tim Silliman this week carrying the Gyrocam for SimTV here, and Rigshare on board the 6th machine. Rigshare, of course, sponsoring the FUEL Cup Series. Look at that banking.
Yeah, it's kind of understated. You really, until they have like guys, you know, walking on the banking, you really see how steep it is. And I also got to say, great job by Silman to get from 19th. He's right now in 5th. So he's probably one of the biggest movers. He's moved up from the middle of the field, and he's still going. He's got a big run on the outside with the 77. And I believe that's 28 leading that outside line as well.
And we're side by side for the lead once again. And the 28 and 1 have been swapping a couple times. And the 28 of Johnson, of course, going to nose ahead this time. We'll see if he drops back down in front of the 1. We've seen Culberson get very aggressive, getting himself out of the inside lane because he doesn't like being stuck down there. And that's something I think is going to be important later in the race. If you can find a hole to get yourself back in the outside lane, you're going to be the one that's going to have a shot to win.
Ooh, a little bit of a stack up on the inside as the 23 and the 13 kind of all accordion together. And that's also a thing that's kind of dangerous too with the speedway racing, is guys getting stuck together. And the streamer you watch on Matt Malone, right? I believe he said it, don't push the pusher.
Don't push the pusher.
And we always quote that because it's so true. As a third car line, like the 23 and the 6, you got to be careful of not pushing the guy ahead of you. Because if the guy in the middle is going to get caught out and the guy in front might end up going spinning. So you got to be careful with the moves you make.
See a huge push from Rich Jet in the 77, giving the 28 a massive launch down the straightaway. But again, I think the sketchiest place to be pushing Finney is on the entrance to the corners, because that's where the cars are the lightest. And if you get on the left rear just a little bit too much, you can easily send a car around just by lifting up the rear tires.
Yeah, we see it a lot of times in real-life racing as well. Just entering the corners, the cars just get so loose. Of course, in real life, they're a lot more aero-sensitive than the cars in iRacing are here. So it's just a matter of just, you know, watching yourself, being careful, and maintaining yourself around others. So it seems like we're pretty much at a stalemate, it seems, between the 28 and the 1 leading this line. Both Toyotas seem to be really strong out in the front. And ooh, we see a car dive below the yellow line.
There's a 65 of Jonathan Cadell that jumped out of line there, but was able to get himself back above that yellow line without advancing his position. Again, yellow line rule enforced here today. All iRacing sporting code rules will be enforced, as well as the fuel rules. And the yellow line rule is one of those that will be enforced if it need be. You see the 28 of Johnson getting another big shove, and he'll clear the one, drop down in front of him, but here comes the 77 of Jet to the outside now to take his run at it, and that's the 6 of Tim Silliman pushing him from behind.
Yeah, so one thing we're honestly considering how great of a green how great of a green flag run we've had so far, is we're gonna have to start talking about green flag pit stops right here. We're about halfway through the fuel run, and I'm assuming these guys are on full fuel, so we're about halfway through the fuel run. And these guys, you're gonna have to start considering when you're gonna pit, and it's kind of a mind game too, because you could pit you can kind of undercut a bit. That's not really gonna help you, but you can undercut your pit stop a bit, and you might see these guys even pit at halfway. But as soon as one guy starts calling out when they're gonna pit, everyone starts calling out. And if you're not on the bottom lane when that happens, you might get caught out. So that green flag pit stops, I think, are gonna be a huge factor as to who can get a fast pit stop, not having any mistakes, getting into your pit stall, getting into pit road, and getting back out. We might see the fuel shuffle up quite a bit.
And you can see the second group here, and I believe it starts with the 00 of Don Runkle Jr. This second group is single filed out. They're kind of getting themselves organized potentially for pit stops. As you see, the front group is kind of all over the place, and you see now the outside lane is moved all the way up to the wall, and the inside lane's all the way down in the yellow line, trying to break that side draft. But you see down in the corners, that outside lane's going to drop down just a little bit, and try to get that side draft from those quarter panels. You see Will Roberts in the 96 doing that to the 18 of Brian Bliss. But out of turn 4 now, once the pit stop starts looming, you're going to see drivers try to make their way down to the bottom lane. As you see Rich Jet doing that just now, but the bottom lane is where you want to be to make your pit stop. We've got some lappers coming up here shortly, and I believe that's Adam Jersky in the 69 and Andrew Cardinale in the 45, and Danger going to lap down here shortly.
Yeah, I think, honestly, as we started talking about it, we're seeing that outside line that was pretty strong about 2 laps ago. You can see right here from the camera shot, there's only about 4 cars on the outside line. Everyone else is on the inside, and I think they're preparing for people to start calling out their pit stops, because you can make it to the end from this race distance.
So the 77 takes the lead, and you see Timothy Johnson about as far back as he's been all day, sitting there in the 3rd spot. But you're looking to find Gabriel Perry in the 13, who was aggressive early, sitting there 7th. So Perry's lost a couple spots since the initial start of the race, and now has to work his way up a little bit further. But now that's starting to single file a little bit more, and I think this is in preparation for those green flag pit stops we were just talking about.
Yeah, and I gotta say, Silman right now is sitting really good in 2nd place. And I gotta say, 2nd place is really the catbird seat, as they say in real life too. It's such an ideal position to be in. Obviously, we're on lap 26, 60, so we still has a long way to go. But working his way up from the 19th, he started. Took him 26 laps. He's up in 2nd. You can see how slow of a process it is to get into the front. It's very methodical, and he's got to slowly inch your way up there. So great job by him.
Right on board now at the 72 of Jack Ritchie. And Ritchie started 21st, now running 4th, so big improvement for Ritchie now. Running fuel colors on that car this evening. Nearing the halfway point of this race, a couple laps till we get there. And here's the lap cars. That's the 69 and the 45 that they're about to catch.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for those guys. They were kind of banking on a caution to come out. And I mean, if it comes out now, they'll just barely get a break. But they're most likely going to end up going a lap down. It's really going to be unfortunate for their chances. So, gotta say, great job though. All 37 of the 39 guys that started the race are still running, with Cardinal rounding out in 37th. And I definitely don't think that's where he wanted to be.
No, and we were talking to him earlier during Heat 1, and he was hopeful that this would be a good run for him, but about to go a lap down here to see the field quickly approaching. And this is something as a lap car, you have to do this well. You can't be in the way of these leaders, because whether it's your fault or not, they're coming fast, and they will spread out to try to get around you. And it'll be interesting to see what line the 69 and 45 take here shortly, as the leaders seem to get single file.
Yeah, they're hopefully going to jump to the outside. It's probably what the leader's going to be yelling at them over the mic on. And yeah, right now, just looking at the pack, we only have 2 cars left on that outside line, so everyone's getting single file. We are approaching halfway, and I think we might starting to see some pit stops occur shortly.
And here comes the field approaching the rear of the 45 now.
And it seems that the leader's going to.
Oh, we got some pit stops coming.
Pit stops.
I'm trying to grab someone going down pit lane. Here they come. It's the 6, the 28, the 13, the 1, the 8, the 3, the 56, and others. So they'll head into for their pit stops.
Yeah, it looks like so the top 15 right now in the running order all stayed out on track. So those guys are gonna probably come in next time by, I would imagine, or within the next few times by.
And that saved the 45 and 69 because they're able to hang on to the lead lap here as Brian Bliss and the 77 of Rich Jet have not gotten around yet.
Yeah, I think those guys are probably going to just stay out and run out their fuel because that's all they can really do at this point as we have our second round of takers. And
that's the 18 of Brian Bliss, the 23 of Henderson, the 72 of Richie. Whoa, we got one sliding. It's the 50 of David Leclerc into the wall, in the inside wall. He'll collect the commitment cone.
Ooh, he's in a very awkward place. I don't think we'll get a caution, but that's definitely going to be catastrophic to his run out of win here.
Oh, look out. There's almost some contact there in pit lane. The 66 hit the wall,
actually.
yeah. Jonathan Lawrence. So as we near the halfway point, some trouble for some other drivers in the field here. And it looks like Jonathan Lawrence got the back into his stall, and that's not going to be good for his chances. Oh, meanwhile, we got a heck of a battle going on here in the middle of all this.
Yeah, this is just really some of the slower guys who came back out on track from the pit stops and the faster guys who are in the pack just all navigating each other. And you can see it's absolute chaos that is going on.
And we just passed halfway here, so we got 30 laps to go. And you see, in the middle of all this, we have some of our leaders, and Will Roberts right now in the 96. I know his name's not showing up on the ticker there, but Will Roberts is in that number 96 machine in the Keurig Ford, and he's now 3 wide with the 71 and the 65. They almost get together coming off of turn 2.
Ooh, he's got inch to the bottom. He's got to be very careful coming out. This is really where a wreck's going to happen here. So these guys seem like they've been able to sort it out for now.
69 of, oh wow, it pulls down in front of, that was close there.
Yeah, so from the looks of it, it looks like the top 7 have not pitted, and it seems like now it's going to remain to the top 5 or so.
And it looks like the 67 of Brad Collins and the 76 of Rick Thompson are going to head down to pit lane as well.
Yeah, I gotta say, this is really risky by Will Roberts to stay out. He doesn't really have too many guys who are on the same pit cycle as him. So you gotta be very careful going down by yourself, being able to make sure you get a perfect pit stop so you can catch the pack at just the right moment when you're coming back out.
We have some guys blending with the field here, and that creates a sketchy situation.
Yeah, you see everyone checking up, but this is really the time we're probably gonna end up getting a wreck. And there are cars looking at the track map. There are cars all over the track right now.
And Timothy Johnson, as an update, was one of those leaders that originally came down. They're sitting now in 8th. And still got a couple cars left to pit, and they're right there. So the leaders are coming. And maybe Will Roberts is hoping that with all this chaos, it'll create a caution and trap some guys.
Yeah, that'll definitely throw a spanner into the works. And he's going to continue going out. I think he might try to be just going out to run it out on fuel. And so Will Roberts and the 77 seem to be on the same pit strategy, as well as is that the 62, I believe, of Wilco? Yes, that is. So Roberts, Jet, and Wilco are all on the same strategy. Everyone else has made their pit stops so far.
See the 21 of Nick Cohan right in front of the leader of Will Roberts, but Cohan is in 16th, to be 1 lap down. But let's see, I think... Oh, so Roberts stayed out on the racetrack again, but the 23 is going to head down to pit lane this time through.
I believe the 23 pit, so I wonder if he might have gotten a speeding penalty.
I have to try to find him. There's so many cars. But Aaron Henderson making a... Oh, he's going into his stall.
Yeah, so I think he might have a stop and go. So we're speeding in the pits. He was already a lap down on him. That was from the pit stop, so he's going to go another lap down. So that's going to be unfortunate for his day, as he was running up there.
All right, so looks like Roberts is going to maintain this lead here. The 62 of Wilco is reset to the pit, so that's why he's showing up first for now. But lots of chaos, lots of positions, guys on different strategies, and this is really creating kind of a mess out here on the racetrack. And this could be kind of sketchy if drivers around Will Roberts and the 72 of Rich Jet don't know that they're coming into the pits.
Yeah, I see Roberts trying to find his way to the bottom, so I want to believe he's coming in next time by, and I believe that's the 77 about 2 cars behind him. He's also on the inside line, so these guys, I would imagine, are going to pit now, or they got to pit soon, because if we can cut the Silman up ahead, yeah, that's the lead pack, so they have lost a little bit of distance to where the lead pack is. Not a whole lot, but just a bit, so if they don't catch them at the right time on the track, you're going to just end up being passed and left behind in the dust.
All right, so we're past halfway, the halfway point. We're coming down to 25 to go at the line here. And this is the battle for what will be the lead. That's Tim Silliman in the 6, the 28 of Timothy Johnston, and the 18 of Brian Bliss. And interested to see where Roberts pops out in this, and if this was worth the strategy call that they made. I don't think it will be. And we'll see how it all shakes out here in about a lap or two. But we see Will Roberts and the 77 Rich Jet coming down to the pit lane.
Yeah, so it's really got to make sure.
Oh, contact between the two.
Yeah.
And 96 bailed. And he's going to have to... No, that's going to be catastrophic for Will Roberts.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he missed his pit stall or if he... with the 77 getting in and missed up his entry. But he's going to bail on that. And yeah, like you're saying, that's going to completely ruin his run. And that all that strategy that he had planned is not going to... It's going to kind of bite him at the end.
Yeah, so Roberts will have to bail out on that pit stop there. And he'll enter the track on the back straightaway again. We'll see if he attempts to come back down to the pit lane, because he's going to be almost out of fuel here in just a second, I have to imagine. Oh,
yeah,
wow.
He's going to be almost 4 laps out of fuel, and yeah. So he will maintain being the leader for now, but I can't imagine that's going to stay for long.
Alright, so we'll see if Roberts come back down to the pit lane this time. And he's going to have to, and here he comes back down again.
So I gotta say, Roberts is gonna be out of it and almost in danger of falling a lap down from coming down all the way down pit road pretty much and not able to do his pit stop then. So yeah, this is gonna be our group here. It seems at the end, the 6 is Silman, 18 of Bliss, and 76 of Thompson, and these guys that we saw running up front all day long. So they're gonna come down. It's gonna come down to these guys pretty much.
So almost 40 laps completed without a single yellow flag. We've seen a lot of action out here. But this has been a great race so far. And we see some action now with the outside lane, the 28 of Johnston, looking there for a second.
Yeah, honestly, what these guys should do in the front is get single file, and I think that looks like what they're going to try to end up doing, is getting single file and just making sure no one from the back comes up, so that way, if you want to make a move and it doesn't end up working at the end of the race, you're going to end up finishing about 7th, it looks like, this top 7.
And we got a couple lap cars about to pop up shortly for these leaders.
And
Ooh, that's Will Roberts there.
Yep. So this top 7 right here on your screen, these are the guys going to be fighting for it in the end. And how about the 76 and the 67? I don't think we've seen too much of them. Brad Collins and Rick Thompson. So these guys have popped out up in the front where these guys are battling. If we can get a notice of where they started. These guys actually did start up to the front. I was surprised.
Brad Collins didn't. Brad Collins started in 23rd, so it's not a big pack for him.
Yeah, definitely played it right and was able to find his way up.
Oh, there's a move for the lead. Rick Thompson and Brad Collins, right as we were talking about them, are going to go to the outside and try to. Oh, there goes 6 goes up to block. Silliman drives up to block the 76.
I mean, you can block, but you got to be very careful where you time it. If you time it just a little bit wrong, you're going to end up causing a huge wreck. And I don't think any of these guys up front want to be taken out this late in the race.
Silliman dropped right back down to the bottom, but here comes Thompson on the outside now, and Silliman can't block both. You got to choose one and go with it.
Yeah, so we got the 76 and the 67 teammates.
Look out, the 18's going to get a bad angle contact from the 28 of Johnson there, but holds onto it nicely. That was a sketchy moment for everybody there.
Yeah, but they all make it work in the end. Yeah, looking at this, so we got the 76 and the 67. They were teammates on the outside. We have the 28 and the 1, I believe. No, sorry, 28 and the 13 who were teammates. So teammates up there, and like I was saying, nice to have a friend, especially if you can talk to them in Discord. So, you know, if you can have someone to work with, it definitely helps. With the 6, the 18, and the 1, I believe are all out of friend at the moment.
And Silman's been very aggressive blocking the runs from these two lanes, and you have to wonder if Silman's out front, maybe that's a good thing towards the end of the race, but it can also get you dumped if you're not too careful.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, a lot of these guys, especially you're looking up here, you're all by yourself, it's top 7's pretty much isolated, you're going to feel like you want to make a move just because you know it's not going to cost you too much, but you got to be, like you're saying, got to be careful, otherwise you're going to end up in the wall.
We just got the 20 lap to go sign right there, so 20 more laps here at Daytona. We've been caution free so far. it looks like we have a 7-car breakaway for the lead. Wow, we almost went 3 wide there for a moment. Down the back straightaway now for the 40th time. And then once we get back to 7th, it's another 2 seconds back to Thomas George, and then a couple more seconds back, we find a much bigger group of cars. But for the lead now, the 76 of Rick Thompson trying to use the side draft to get an advantage on the 6 of Silliman.
And you can see 5 out of the 7 cars are going to jump to the outside, so it seems these guys want to start a parade around the outside. And they're going to stick with each other here, and it looks like it's going to be the 76 of Thompson jumping out to the lead.
$19 to go, and Thompson is going to clear Silliman and drop down to the bottom in front of him. That was close. Brad Collins in the 67 now going to get a run to the outside with help from the 28 of Johnston.
Yeah, so it's a surprising move, in my opinion, just leaving your teammate out there like that, unless both of them want to end up controlling this race, which is also a viable strategy. So, yeah, these guys are going to continue to ride it out now. We're going to see what they're going to do. And, I mean, when you have 2 guys working with each other, controlling both lanes, that's not going to be good for these other guys, and they have to be really creative as to how to get around these 2 teammates up in front.
Checking back in with Will Roberts, 33rd, 1 lap down, and quite a ways away from being the free pass car. So that whole pitch fiasco put Will Roberts massively behind.
Yeah, and there's nothing worse, honestly, than just running out there by yourself.
18 to go now. Collins edges ahead. The 13 of Perry has a car length or 2 on the 1 of Culberson. And the 18 of Bliss has backed out of this just a little bit. Bliss was a little bit more aggressive earlier in this run, but has now slipped back. Just kind of watching these 5 guys in front of him battle it out. And the 28's giving a big shove to the 67 of Brad Collins into turn 3.
Yeah, 67 was just not clear enough to get ahead of the 76 of Thompson. We'll see next time by when he gets a run. He should be getting a huge run. As you can see, his teammate leave out the left windshield there. And just barely going to be in front, and we'll see if he'll be clear enough to take the lead or if he chooses just not to.
Riding on board again with the gyro cam, the Rigshare gyro cam for Tim Silliman. You can see how much movement there is through the corners here. It looks very smooth, but it's a violent ride in there, even though this track was just repaved about 7-8 years ago.
So far, it's pretty even between these two lanes of drivers, and they're just gonna slowly, and they're actually been keeping a decent gap to the rest of the field behind them. If we can try to get a camera on them, Thomas George leading them in 8th place. And yeah, it's just him, and it seems the 8 of Rhett McBride. So those 2 guys are just riding on. We have a huge pack, and these guys are ideally single file. So if they're able to keep it going, and from the looks of it, they're not really able to catch up to the leaders at the moment, so they really need something to help them to get back up there. And you can see also the 23 that's there who had problems with pit road earlier.
Look at the rear end of the 21 car of Nick Cohan. Huge damage. I don't know where he got that, but he got clobbered from somebody.
Yeah, I would imagine it probably would have been on pit road where guys are trying to slow down at different rates of speed, and someone probably just got into the end of him. And definitely don't think that he would have liked that damage, and definitely the 23 doesn't like that being behind him. But if there's any place to get hit in a super speedway car, I think the rear is probably the best. Nothing really too important there.
15 laps to go now, and some more lap traffic. That's Don Runkle and Zach Buchanan on the outside lane that Rick Thompson and Silliman and Johnson will work their way around now. I bet you everyone from Dwayne, or from Brian Bliss on back, is going to be begging for a yellow flag to get themselves back in this race. Hard to run down the leaders, especially when they're organized like this. But here goes Silliman now looking just to the outside. Can he get a side draft? No, so he'll tuck back in line with help from Timothy Johnson.
Yeah, one thing I'm also noticing is that Culberson and Bliss are actually losing these guys up front. There's going to be now a 5-car breakaway. I mean, he's quite a ways back. He's within 0.3 of a second, but those guys up ahead are so hooked together, and it seems like these guys are struggling to maintain speed. So they might end up falling out of this battle, and might now just be a battle in the top 5.
So it'll be interesting to see here. We pull up the track map. If we could just get a look at all the cars on the racetrack, you see the main first group there that includes the class leader coming out of turn 4 right now. You can see there's 3 or 4 clumps of cars kind of making up their way around here, and that lead pack obviously is probably one of the smaller of the groups.
Yeah, you can just see that pretty much everyone is in a sort of mishmash of a pack, if you can call it that. So that's what we were saying earlier, is that the green flag pit stops really just threw something in here, and everyone got spread out, as we saw when they were, but earlier they were just running side by side.
And there's that second group, of course, and some other drivers just kind of straggling behind, but it looked like the Norman Pelletier in the 56 was about the 3rd or 4th car in line there, and the 3 of Thomas George leading it. And of course, Rhett McBride, one of the, I believe he won the second heat.
I believe so too.
8 and a 7.
Yeah, I think these guys, anyone pretty much outside the top 7 is going to really need a caution to really help them out here. I think everyone else is kind of out of it at the moment.
And they're running out of usable laps even if the yellow does come out, because of course it'll take a couple laps. There'll be under 10 laps to go. That's not a whole lot of time to assemble a group to move forward here at Daytona International Speedway. There's a third group that it looks like that's Calvin. It's the 50 of David Leclerc that is in 20th. That's leading this group. That's the 73 of Casey Campbell, the 88 of Tyler Dulgar, and Fred Thompson in the 46.
Yeah, we saw the 50 car have that spin entering pit road, so luckily he was only back in 20th. That could have been a lot worse, and he's able to keep that thing going. But I'm sure everyone behind him probably doesn't want him leading the pack. He does have damage to the nose of that car, and I don't know if he's down on any power of some sort.
Well, the back straightaway, the fastest they went is 197, and the lead group was going much faster than that down the back straightaway. So you see, we got a yellow caution, trouble on the racetrack, and I believe it's Zach Buchanan. Oh, huge wreck on the back straightaway there, and the 03's involved, and others.
Yeah, and I think it was that bigger pack that we were looking at earlier, led by the 3, and it seems that they all got on that correct as everyone's dodging to get out of the way coming out of turn 2.
So the first caution of the day, and it looks like the 05 was one of the ones that really got clobbered there.
And I think every single car, except out of the top 5, was happy to see that caution, because that means now everyone has another shot at getting back into this race.
Let's look from high above. We're riding on board now with the... We will be riding on board with these... Oh, this started up ahead of this group. Oh, the 40 of Buchanan is probably where it started, but let's get another look. Oh, Buchanan was side-by-side with Don Runkle Jr. and... Oh, I don't know about that. That was a little bit...
Yeah, that was a little bit weird. I want to say it was a mistake, really unfortunate mistake on the double zeros part, and that really caused a huge accident, and I think something that a few people on the track didn't want to see, especially the leaders. So this is going to pretty much change everything heading into the final few laps.
And this is the 03 of Nathan Bowers, and you see this wreck up ahead. And a little bit late to react there, but just had nowhere to go and clobbers the 40 of Buchanan, and that's your caution, your first caution on lap 49.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much at that point, you just gotta really just pick a part of the track and just go for it. And it's really hard to slow up in these cars. It's not that easy because you really have to manage how fast you slow down. You don't want to lock up, otherwise you go flying into the wall. So
right.
These guys are gonna pass pit road, and I don't think we're gonna see any takers. All these guys should be good on fuel. It's kind of silly to pit. You don't really need any tires, and some guys are pitting towards the back, probably to fix some damage from that wreck.
Yeah, Jack Ritchie in here as well, 05 of Ethan Kurz, who took a heck of a hit on the right front in that accident. He clobbered Zach Buchanan.
Yeah, so he's going to be in the pits for a while, so...
We only have a couple laps to go. We're down to the single digits. And this is really going to create some interesting scenarios here coming to the restart. We're going to try to grab Tim Silliman to see if they're around for a little report here. Might take a little while to locate somebody, but we're actively working on it. So we're going to be coming now to 8 to go, and we're going to wait for the field to get lined up. It's going to be a couple more laps till we get there. All right, so let's see if there's anybody else we can grab. Is Rick Thompson around? Let's see if we're going to try to find somebody to interview here. All right, we'll see if we can grab him. Hey, Rick Thompson, it's the SimTV booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got a copy.
All right, well, so far so good for you. You're leading out front. You got 8 laps to go. You don't look like you have a scratch on that car. What's your plan here with the restart coming now down to, it'll probably be about 5 or 6 laps to go when you get the restart.
My plan is to try to make this car as wide as humanly possible.
Well, we've seen you do that so far, and it's worked out for you as you're leading here. Outside lane, inside lane, we've seen Tim Silliman be very aggressive blocking those lanes, but where do you want to be for the last couple laps here?
I like the inside lane a lot better, and so I'm probably going to try to stay down there. And I've seen if you can jump up and kind of stop the momentum of the outside lane, then it kind of helps you keep them from getting a good run coming off the corner. But other than that, I'm just going to do the best I can to keep it clean and hopefully take this thing to victory lane at the end.
All right, Rick, we'll let you get back to work, but good luck in the last couple laps of the race. We'll be rooting for you.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it, guys.
All right, so thanks to Rick Thompson for joining us there for just a moment. We're going to hopefully be coming to 1 to go this time through.
Yeah, that's going to leave us with pretty much 6 laps to go. So if a caution does come out, it's very unlikely that we're going to go green again. So this is pretty... I want to bet this is going to be our final restart. Whether we're going to finish under green or yellow is going to be up to the guys on the track. But we're going to be... I can say we're going to be for a hell of a finish. These guys are going to be side by side and probably maintain side by side as everyone's going to be trying to go for this win.
And lights are out on the pace car. We will restart with 6 laps to go, Finian. And out of the guys we've seen up front, we've seen a lot of competition with this front group of cars. But I got my money on Tim Silliman in that 6th. Been very aggressive, starting in the outside lane. Going to have a good push from the 13 of Gabriel Perry. Who's your money on the last couple laps of this race?
Yeah, honestly, I'm going to say Gabriel Perry. You know, he's been a bit of an underdog. He's been kind of supporting guys and just helping guys out. But he's always been in the front, too, with a lot of these guys. So I'm going to say, you know, give him a shot. I think he's got what it takes to win here.
And a teammate in the 28 of Timothy Johnston. And they've been very quick as a duo tonight. They'll be starting in the opposite lanes from each other, but possible they could get themselves wired up and ready to go for the last couple laps of this event.
Yeah, I mean, really key is going to be getting hooked up as fast as you can. If you have someone to work with, now's the time you want to find them on the track and work with them.
Looking from high above the Daytona International Speedway, we're here for the Sim Marketing Solutions 250. We're going to restart this race with 6 laps to go. We got the majority of the field still running. 1 caution so far tonight. It's going to be wet, wild, and awesome to watch. Lake Lloyd there in the background, and these high banks of Daytona certainly going to make for an exciting race. So stick with us for the last couple race laps, and stick around for just a short break, and we'll be back with some interviews for the top 3 and anybody other noticeable guys we decide to grab. But the pace car rounds turn 4. It'll drop below that double yellow line, and the leader, Rick Thompson, will have choice of when he wants to go, and everyone else have to follow him. Coming back to the green flag, Rick Thompson in control, Tim Silliman on the outside, green flag back in the air at Daytona, 6 laps to go.
Yeah, and Thompson got a fantastic start there. He's out in the clear, but you got to worry, though. You're going to have a lot of guys drafting up to you, and maybe 28, who's got a huge run now. If he tries to draft up and maybe go to the outside with Silliman to try to make a pass here.
Oh, look at Johnson. Very aggressive to the outside. Can he get to the quarter panel? That's going to be the important place to get to. And look at the 13 dropping to the inside and down the back straightaway now. The 28's going to get a huge run, but here comes the 67 of Brad Collins giving a huge shove to the 76 of Thompson down the back straightaway.
Yeah, and those guys are teammates, so this is probably one of the worst situations the 28 and the 13, who are also teammates, could be in. And you're going to see the 13 try to join up with the 28, and it's going to be teammates pretty much pushing each other to the end here.
Oh, Silliman just dropped down in front of the 18 of Brian Bliss. That was close here.
And everyone seems to be getting single file, which I'm kind of surprised, because, you know, if you want to make a run now, you're gonna have to do it now. And even the 13, I'm surprised he's not joining the 28. He's going to kind of leave him out to dry. I guess teammates be damned at this point.
28, Timothy Johnson heading backwards quickly. But the 67 of Collins right on the rear bumper, Rick Thompson now. And we're running out of laps, 5 laps to go here. Who can do something with it?
Yeah, the Speed Mafia guys up in front and taking charge of this race. And I gotta say, you know, Selman or the 13 of Perry could be, they're in a prime spot. If both of them want to decide to jump to the outside, they gotta think about it and hopefully be on the same page about making that move. The majority of the field you can see from this picture is pretty much single file, except in the back where everyone's scrapping up for every position they can get at this point.
John Wilco in the 62, a little out of shape. In the 50, of course, David Leclerc damaged in that pit road accident. He's still hanging on.
Yeah, Cigar seems to be good in the draft, so he's got to stay there where he can. And it seems up in front, the top 9 have broken away from the rest of the field. So these guys it's gonna come down to these guys up in front.
Looking from high above, very orderly up here, but I sense it's not going to stay there for long. We got a pair of teammates up front, but then the 13 and the 6, they don't care about anybody in front of them. They're just trying to win the race, and we're coming now down to 3 laps to go. And I'd also keep an eye on the 18 of Brian Bliss. Been very aggressive and just been, lately, just been kind of hanging and biding his time there. But Rhett McBride, the winner of heat number 2 in the number 8 car, sitting there in second. Look at the 13 now looking to the outside. He's going to bring the 6 of Tim Silman with him. No, Tim is going to snooker him and head down to the inside, and the 13's going to be all by himself.
Yeah, honestly, that might have been a little bit too early, and the 6 probably would have liked, so that's why he's just going to leave the 13 out there. I think he thought it's not going to be enough of a run, or it's going to be too early, and the run's going to die out, so he's going to continue soldiering on. Or maybe he's going to decide maybe to jump out in front of the 13. Who knows? Unfortunately, we can't read these guys' lines as the 18 gets into the 13, doors him a bit, and everyone gets backed up, and here comes the 28 to help out his teammate on the outside.
Oh, look out. The 8 of McBride almost got into the side of the 28.
Yeah, now it's a matter, though, of it's too late for the 2 guys on the outside to make it go with Dizzy Motorsports, the 28 and the 13. The 28 is going to jump back down on the inside and leave his teammate out to dry.
2 laps to go now. Teammates out in front. Tim Silliman in 3rd all by himself. Brian Bliss in 4th. Timothy Johnson, who's the dominant car of the day, in 5th. And we're wrapping it up here shortly. It'll be over in about a minute and a half.
And you can see the 28 is going to jump up in front of his teammate. Here we go. Guys looking to the outside. Here comes the 18 on the outside of Tim Silman. They've got a run, but the 28 is going to leave the 18. Everyone is leaving. Everyone there are no friends at this point as we're going to come out of turn 4 to the white flag.
Oh, look out. The 6. Silman jumped out in front of the 28, but the 28 is going to snooker him. Look out. That was almost contact there. Silman gets a shove.
Yeah, the 28 doesn't want to push the 6 to the line, but he's going to almost have no choice. He's either finish 4th or finish 2nd.
That one flying.
As that car's spinning to the inside, and that may bring out a caution here.
Oh, look out. The 18, wildly out of control, gets drilled by this 21. A horrible collision. The 18 goes up into the fence and rolls down the banking.
We're still green, it seems.
Up in front, we're going to be racing back to the checkered flag. A terrible collision involving the 18 of Brian Bliss and the 21 of Nick Cohan. We got one in the grass on the back straightaway. Coming to the checkered flag now through turns 3 and 4.
Someone's going to try to look to the outside, but I don't think he's going to have too much help, and I think it's going to be the 76 at this point.
To the checkers. Here they come. Rick Thompson, Brad Collins, 1 and 2, and the checkered flag is in the air, and Rick Thompson takes the victory after maintaining that first place position through all the craziness of that last lap wreck. But of course, that horrible wreck involving Brian Bliss, that is what everyone's concerned about right now as we enter the cooldown lap, but Rick Thompson manages to hold on to it.
And a little congratulatory bump from the 13 there. Yeah, great job by those 2 guys for, I'm trying to pull up the team here, sorry, for Speed Mafia. And those guys held a commanding lead in that second half of the race. We saw Dizzy Motorsports, the 28 and the 13, they did a great job in the first half. These 2 guys just kept it in the front the whole time and did a fantastic job earning that one. And as he's gonna come down after he does burnouts, I think we should try to pull up what happened on that last lap.
We definitely will, and I also want to see if we can get an interview for the driver, the number 18, after he gets out of the infield care center. Of course, our thoughts and prayers with him after that one. That was a horrible collision, and Nick Cohan also took a massive hit in that. But we have a teammate burnout here. That is cool to see.
Yeah, they definitely earned it there. Great teamwork there.
That is an excellent shot from above. The Speed Mafia team taking victory here, the 76 and the 67. And it's not often you get to do donuts at a place like this. All right, we'll be right back in just a couple minutes. We're going to pull up the replay of the last lap accident first, and then we'll go grab the guys we want to interview. So we'll be back in just a minute here. Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway, and we're here now with our winner here.
Extreme Reboot.
We're here now with Rick Thompson. Sorry to grab you from your conversation there, Rick, but winner, chicken dinner. You came home P1. Tell us about how you held on to that in the final laps of this race.
Oh man, let me tell you what, I'm still shaking after that. Yeah, so great run by my team, man. I got to give it all to my teammate Brad Collins. He sat there and pushed me the whole way at the end. He told me he wasn't going to leave me, and I just got lucky that it just lined up that way, and he didn't leave me there at the end.
Yeah, so of course we saw it get single file there right after the restart, and as the leader, single file kind of leaves drivers to make later moves than they normally would because they're kind of preparing those runs. Do you think it's easier to have a double file race where it's more predictable what's going to happen, or a single file one where it's a little bit more uncertain who's going to make the right move?
Actually, I preferred the double file for sure, like you're saying. When we did have double file, I had Brad Collins, my teammate. I told him get up at the top line, and that way one of the two of us was going to get pushed to the front. And so we were just trying to hold down both lines at the same time. But yeah, we liked it when it was double file because then we didn't know when the run was going to come from the outside lane.
All right, Rick. Well, first of all, congratulations on this victory. But now we're looking ahead to Chicagoland, an intermediate track very different from what we're doing this week. What are your expectations for yourself and your team moving forward?
Actually, I'm really excited about this season in this league, Fuel Racing League. I'm super excited about it for myself and for the team. We've been really competitive. I think we're going to be competitive next week at Chicago. It's one of those high line around the track and kind of wait for somebody to screw up in front of you. So it's going to be a lot of follow the leader, but I think we're going to get some good runs. This league has a lot of clean racing and very competitive racing, and we really enjoy it here so far. So I'm really excited about the season, and I think we're going to do really well next week, actually.
Awesome. Well, thanks for talking to us, Rick, and go ahead and crack open a bottle of champagne and enjoy that victory. It was well earned.
Heck yeah, I already got my beer open. I'm ready to go.
Not a champagne kind of guy, I see. All right, have a good night, Rick.
Thanks, guys.
All right, now we're here with your second place finisher, Brad Collins, in the 67. And Brad, we saw you quick in practice. Didn't quite qualify where you wanted to, but here you came home in second after a wild ending of the race. What did it take to just get that one more spot?
Honestly, I was fixing to be content with fifth because I was expecting us not to even split up after all that until that wreck happened. And I think Tim Johnston just barely caught the apron coming out of two, shot him up the track, and I was able to get right by him when that happened. And then I was like, I was where I was, so I was like, well, Rick, I'm pushing you to the win, unless they try to pass me coming out of four, and if they do, I'm going around you.
All right, Brad. Well, we saw the Speed Mafia team do very well, first and second. I just asked your teammate Rick Thompson what your expectations are as a team moving forward to a place like an intermediate track like Chicago, where we're heading next week. What are your expectations for your team?
Actually, we're pretty good at the smaller to intermediate tracks. I honestly, we really do run probably top tens when we run to those places and stuff. It just comes down to some of those places like Chicago's tire wear and stuff like that. So if we can just keep the tires under us, we should be good.
All right, Brad. Well, obviously a great finish for you, P2, and good luck next week. And thanks for talking to us.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the broadcast too.
No problem. All right, so now we're here with Tim Silliman, and Tim, you came home in P3, but you're making some amazingly aggressive moves there mid-race, but came home just a little bit short. Tell us what you needed to get by those two teammates out in front.
Probably a teammate, to be honest. I was flying solo tonight, so it was all me on that one, doing with the best that I can with what I had, and that was third.
We saw this race go primarily green, obviously green flag pit stops, and that threw a little bit of strategy in the mix for some of the teams out there. How do you run a green flag pit stop restrictor plate race differently from one that has a couple more cautions?
Well, I mean, from who I had contact with, they basically just shout out and plan who's gonna pit when, and if anybody goes with you, then that's how you're gonna be able to make it out on front when all the pit stops go around. Because if you pitted by yourself or only a few guys, then you're pretty much screwed at that point.
All right, so Tim, next week we have an intermediate track, Chicagoland, coming up. Obviously, you're very good at the restrictor plate races, but what are your expectations for yourself heading forward to Chicago and other tracks on the schedule?
With the testing at Vegas, I was doing fairly well, so I think we're probably a top 5 car, probably, I would say. I don't want to overstate, but that's how I'm feeling.
All right, Tim. Well, good luck next week, and obviously, great run for you tonight. Nothing to hang your head over. Third place ain't bad, and congrats on that finish, and we'll see you next week.
Oh yeah, thanks. I just want to give a shout out real quick, if that's all right.
Absolutely, go for it.
I just want to thank everybody in the admin staff. We were working really hard. Thanks, guys. I want to thank my Rigshare bros that are watching, and all my friends and whatnot. I really appreciate your time. I thank you, Katie, for spending your time this evening. I really appreciate that because you didn't have to do that, and I thank you. So, everybody have a good night.
All right, thanks, Tim. See you next week. All right, now we're here with driver of the number 18, Brian Bliss. And Brian, we're going to shortly grab a replay of what happened there on the final lap. But, of course, that was a very violent impact you took. And first of all, are you okay after that one?
I'm good. It's just Daytona.
We saw you be very aggressive there mid-race, and you had a real shot at winning the thing. What had led to that accident on the last lap there?
As soon as I went high, it just pushed straight up against the wall. It was pushing that last half of the race real bad in 3 and 4.
All right, Brian. Well, glad to see you're okay, and good run for you. Didn't really get the finish you wanted, but obviously you got a lot of speed in the car. So hopefully you have some better luck next week at Chicagoland. Thanks for talking to us.
Thanks, guys.
All right, with that, that's going to wrap up our interviews. We're going to go to break real quick. I just want to pull up that last lap rec real quick so we can get a look at that, and we'll sign off. And the extended broadcast tonight, we'll let everyone get to sleep, but we'll be right back with the replay of that last lap rec. All right, back live here on SimTV. Actually, not live, or in replay mode here, showing what happened to the 18. Gets hooked from the 13 and goes across the racetrack and collects the 3 of Thomas George. And you see this is where that accident started. And of course, the 3 slides wildly out of control through the grass, but the 18 of Bliss getting up in the air, all 4 tires off the ground there, and then impacts the. Does he get the inside wall? I think he just misses
he just avoided it by a hair. But yeah, it was just an unfortunate circumstances, you know, just getting collided. And
wow.
You see him just catching all the air in the world. Might as well be a rallycross car at that point. And yeah, he's pretty much out of control at this point as he comes into the banking, and these guys here just have nowhere to go.
Wow, what a violent wreck.
End over end. It's almost similar to the actual wreck with Robert Wickens in IndyCar. And yeah, just a really unfortunate ending to his day running up front. He's going to end up coming home in 20th as he rolls down the banking and collects, I think, even more cars. But yeah, it was just an unfortunate set of circumstances, and you can even hear in his voice that he was disappointed with that. And
aching a little bit. That definitely, that was not a fun wreck to be in. Hopefully it doesn't have a direct drive wheel, because that was certainly a violent impact. But we don't want to let that tarnish what was an amazing race here this evening. And Finian, first of all, the inaugural race for this series has been a fantastic one.
Yeah, I mean, full field of cars pretty much, and only one caution is pretty much on. Most people would say that you're crazy, but yeah, these guys did a hell of a job tonight. Everyone was giving each other space. They were racing aggressively, but with a little bit of caution. That was an unfortunate accident that happened early with the 00 and the 40 of Zach Buchanan, and just a slight miscommunication. But these guys did a hell of a job all night.
Certainly a fantastic race. Well, we'll be back next week, same time, 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern time for Chicagoland. That is certainly going to be an interesting look at the rest of the season, because we have a couple more intermediates coming up. So Chicagoland next week, 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, Tuesday. Be with us there. Also, we have Ferrari Challenge from Monza Thursday night at 8:30. So be with us for that, as well as Hardline Racing Series at, what time is Hardline? 8:30, one of those times. You'll see the
in the night.
You'll see the thumbnail for that pop up on the channel shortly. Thanks for everyone for liking, commenting, and subscribing, and stay with us for more racing action. Give a special thanks to Rigshare for sponsoring the Rigshare FUEL Cup Series, as well as Sim Marketing Solutions for sponsoring this race here tonight at Daytona. From SimTV, I'm Kyle Heyer. This is Finian D'Cunha, and have a good night. We'll see you next week.